If you've ever wanted to flip your table or just break your equipment because it just simply is not cooperating with you in the morning, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Folks, we are back for another episode of Live Trading. We just got the CPI. It's hump day. We're halfway through the week. We got some stuff to talk about. Market's going. 13's in the back. Let's get it.
Welcome to Benzinga Live Trading.
Let's see if this actually kind of comes back.
Way out of control, got way too high.
All right. Hey, I will take that. I will absolutely take that.
Good morning, folks. Market Sniper, I'm going to borrow your comment here today. Top of the morning to you. If I had a hat, I would take it off and tip it to you. Top of the morning to all of you. It's great to see everybody. Lynn, Direct, Bob, Jonathan, Market Sniper, Beach Bum, Purgatory Park, Golden Brown, and everyone else that's joining us here today. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. Let's not waste any more time and bring on 13. 13, how are you doing, man?
I've had better days. That opener was me. That was me wanting to get crazy on my equipment. As you can tell, my sound a little bit different today because my mic that I usually use is not working, so I'm relying on the webcam mic, which is not as great. So
good news and bad news there. Bad news, like you just said, it's not as good as your headset microphone. Good news is that you have a very deep, manly voice going today from that webcam, so no issues there. I'll be honest, though. I'm not glad that you had a problem, but you kind of saved me because I don't know if any of you folks use the HBO Max streaming, but last night was a complete cluster F. The Hard Knocks Bears season wasn't released for like an hour and 15 minutes late. I'll tell you something. I was angry when this first happened, but then when I went to Twitter and I saw what the Chicago fan base was doing to this poor HBO Twitter account, I couldn't help but laugh. And I actually feel a little bit bad about this, but other people's anger and misery kind of turned around my own anger. I still haven't done the calculus to figure out what that says about me. But here we are. So 13, I was going to try to make a joke about that this morning, but then when you came on with your real life joke, I was like, this isn't, we'll go with this. We'll go with this one. Anyway, great to have you here. You sound fine. We're still going to be able to find opportunities today and make money. We should have Tim Melvin later today, so y'all folks should be excited about that. Let's go ahead and break down the SPY. We did get our CPI print here. So just taking a look at the SPY, we're actually higher here in the pre-market. I'll zoom in here in a sec. But looking at the daily chart here, we are running up to that 544 50-day moving average. So I wouldn't be shocked if we traded above this. I mean, it sure looks like the market is going to be positive here today. I'm curious to see. The contrarian in me wonders if we roll over here at all and kind of trade down. I still do have a portion of the SQQQ trade that I opened up yesterday. That's obviously down here today. I held that overnight. So we'll see if we get a breakdown and I can maybe claw some of that back or maybe add to that position and end up making some money there. But we'll also take a look at some of the other things that are going on here. So with the SPY trading up here, CPI came in pretty much in line here this morning. Reaction was kind of back and forth, but overall somewhat muted. I know we are drifting up here. We'll see what happens when the regular session opens. What do you make of where the SPY's at and our print here this morning, 13?
Well, the CPI print we were talking about how we wanted to see it under 3. We finally got that just slightly today. So now you have PCE and CPI both under 3%, with the former being at 2.5 and the latter being at 2.9. We just kind of looked around a little bit when that print came out, and then it was business as usual. Right now on the SPY, it's trying to work. The price is trying to work its way through a consolidation channel that was established in June. So that's currently where we're at. We're also at a bit of a trend, a resistance point where there's a trend line that was put in from the bottoming of late July. There's about 3 lows from late July that created a trend line, and now the price has traded back up to that. So looking to see if we're going to get some resistance from there. So far, this has not been behaving the way I'd expected it to. We're absolutely through that 5% pullback level at just beneath 537. Seeing a lot of articles saying that there's a lot of surprise with this price action. We have not had a recovery this quick following a sell-off as large as we had virtually ever. This is a very, very unusual and unusually quick recovery. And a lot of large banks are starting to put out articles about that or mention it in articles. So really unusual tape that we're in, and just kind of have to just watch the tape and trade with the flow. Otherwise, you're going to be on the wrong side, apparently, because this is not turned around and gone down like I thought it was going to. So we'll have to wait and see when that happens.
So Jay here is saying 13, you less bearish. I don't know if he's asking you or telling you. So why don't you tell us, are you less bearish now, or are you just kind of skeptical of the move? That's what it sounds like to me.
I'm skeptical of the move. This is a new thing. You know, we haven't really been here before. So I'm still bearish. You know, I still think that we need to correct more than, or intraday 10%, and if not more. I think 12 to 15 would be better. So I'm still bearish. I think we need to make that move, because this what we're getting right now, this recovery, if we could keep going up, I think we're just going to get top heavy again, and it's going to be a really bad time. And the other thing is that this is also we're seeing the yen carry trade be back on, since there are some traders that are taking the side that the Fed's not going to cut this year, and Bank of Japan is not going to raise rates this year. So with the yen carry trade back on, we are going to get days like yesterday, where it just pushed up and pushed up and pushed up through and didn't show any signs of abating. So that's a concern I have, is that there's going to be too many people back into the yen carry trade on the wrong side. Maybe there's some big banks that are on the wrong side too, and we just don't haven't heard about that. But this is just a very unusual move, and I haven't changed my my temporary bearish stance. But I think this is just this is too unusual to ignore. I think there's something really wrong here. This is completely manipulated, and the turnaround is going to be bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I think that you're right there. And really, it seems to me that all we're doing is kind of kicking the can down the road, right? Like eventually we're going to run into this. We didn't run into it yet. Maybe at the end of the year here, early next year is when it starts. Who knows? But eventually we're going to have to deal with some of this. And bringing some of these prices back down is going to be great long term. That's something that we've discussed for a long time. So it's not necessarily a fear thing. It's more of like, hey, let's reset this so we can actually buy and hold something for longer than 5 minutes. One of the questions I was asking earlier, Tony, I like this. RSI is high on everything. I think we get a pop out of the gate and then down all day. Personal chef, Tony, by the way.
I'd welcome that.
Yeah, I would welcome that too. And this is part of the reason why I held on to some of the SQQQ. I held on to it in my main account because it's so small in my main account that, even if it traded down a full $1 or $2, it really wouldn't hurt. I do think inevitably we sell off. So I think we're going to be able to get out of this. Obviously, I have to manage the overnight margin in the prop account. So I was able to shave that position down, but I still held some. So we'll see if we do get that turnaround here on the market. So, okay, let's go ahead and run through the movers. Then we can take a look at some of the different charts that you folks want to take a look at. Let me go ahead and get my movers up here. Let's see. All right. First one here is going to be Digital Ally, ticker DGLY. This one goes all the way, but I'll never forget. This is one of the first kind of stocks that I traded when I was first starting in this business, as they were doing body cams and all that stuff. And it was this and like Revolution Lighting and a couple of other names. So DGLY, I'll remember this for a long time. When I was trading it back then, this is almost 10 years ago. I think it was like $4 or $5, $6. Here we are down at $1. So I've seen this stock say a lot. It didn't really do a whole lot, but in any case, it does serve as a pretty decent trading vehicle in some cases. Today might be another one of those days here. Digital Ally shares trading higher after the company was granted a U.S. patent for tracking and analysis of drivers within a fleet of vehicles. You can understand why this is important, but this is just patent news. And to me, I don't really think some of these patents, unless they're just really incredible patents, I really don't think that they should be huge drivers. I'm not surprised to see this really kind of turn around from its highs here today. We'll see what the action is. I don't necessarily want to make a call on which direction it's going to go. I'll kind of be prepared to play for both. We are kind of at a reversal level here. So maybe this 137, 140 area that we're currently hanging out at, maybe we do reverse. We've got the VWAP there at 159. If we can take that out and go towards those 180, 184 highs or whatever they are, you could have a trade here. I know we were taking a look at the cash positions of a lot of these, so which we talk about on a regular basis. What did you find out here on Digital Ally 13?
Yeah, well, we're going to see a lot of these today where they are in a position where they need to raise cash. Their cash runway is not going to last them very long, so it looks like they're going to need to make more offerings. The thing about Digital Ally is they did a private placement at $251 a unit, so they do have some money, but it seems like they need to do it again. They need to raise some more cash because when I look at their balance sheet, they have less than $1 million. And they chew through almost four, maybe even sometimes more in a quarter. So they need some money. This patent news, great. Now they have something that they own, I guess. But they don't have that. Hasn't turned into profits yet. That doesn't turn into revenue. So they need to raise money. I don't know any other way to say it. They need to raise money. They do have an 8% short interest with 8.34 days to cover. I don't really know if that's going to give us a material impact. It may have already, and we're just late to the party on that. But they have 3.16 million shares, and like I said, they need
cash. So we will see what happens here. Alex, Ryan, do you have a cold? No, I just turned my air conditioning on, and because I'm in the middle of talking and can't walk away, I can't blow my nose and make myself sound normal. I will try to do that here when I turn it over to 13 next. Digital Ally, this is going to be one of the first movers there. Second one is going to be Buru. This is ticker BURU, new Buru. The stock popped in the after hours up towards about 260, came all the way back into 2. Now it looks like it's trying to pop back up there again in the pre-market. Did not quite get as high here. We're taking a look at the news earlier. Didn't really see anything here that's fresh. I don't really think this is necessarily moving on news. So Buru here, what do you got on this one? 13.
There's no news that I could see that was recent. They did mention they had there's a path, like they do see a filing for a passive stake here on Monday, and then last week they were awarded a NASA contract. I don't know if it moved on that. I don't believe it did, but so maybe this is late to the party on those. Does have a 551,000 share float. The only other thing I could find out about this company is that it too needs to raise cash.
Okay, sorry about that. 13 had to step away and get that done. Okay, next here is going to be Serve. Now we've seen a lot of Serve, and it might be serving up yet another trade here today. Serve got a PR here, or got a piece of news this morning. Serve robotic shares are trading higher after the company announced a partnership with Shake Shack to deliver products using autonomous delivery robots through Uber Eats. Now, the first thing that I thought of when I read this was, boy, that's just like the commercial that we see on CNBC all the time, where the robot's flying around and lands, and it looks like it's going to be a Terminator, and then it gives the woman her Thai food and remembered the sauce that she had asked for. So I don't know. What do you folks think? If you Uber Eats Shake Shack and a robot showed up and delivered it to you, what would you think about that?
Click no contact delivery.
Click no contact delivery. Pretty good idea.
No, leave it at your door and they go away. That's fine.
Looking at the stock here, obviously the market really likes this, taking us out of a 12 handle, testing 14. We did trade above that here. So pretty decent volume. We've actually seen Serve run before here. So what do you think about this news in Serve?
Well, they did have earnings yesterday. So that's one of the reasons it's moving up. That partnership, I believe, I don't know if that was announced with earnings or not, but that's apparently also helping it move up here. We're approaching the 15 handle, which has been a point of resistance. They have 22.7 million shares, and I think they also need to raise cash as well. It's one of the things I was looking at. They have about $500,000 in cash, less than $500,000 in cash, and they're losing $9 million a quarter. So again, this company needs to raise cash. I don't know how far along they are with their delivery robotics. So it sounds great. I guess Uber Eats sees something in them, but I don't know how far out they are with their robots that deliver. So that would be something I'd have to look into. But for the purpose of trading today, they need to raise cash.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Some pretty good comments here regarding some of those robots. A robot delivery is straight out of the Jetsons. Levi asking, do you tip robots? Now, this is an interesting question.
Yeah, with nuts and bolts.
I was going to say I would lean on the side of no. I don't think I'm giving my money to a robot unless it's something that I paid for. Jay Rice asking the most obvious question: who the hell would have Shake Shack delivered? I feel like it wouldn't be nearly as good by the time it got there. Plus, probably missing some fries. I don't know. That doesn't sound good. Yeah, and here milkshake. Your milkshake will be milk.
It'll be a milk still.
Yeah, it's doesn't really seem like the best. However, all of that as an aside, serve ramping here. We'll see if we get an actual trade for this. One of the things I'd really like here is if this pulled back to a support level before we can try to trade it. We'll see on serve. Next one here is going to be edible. This is one that we've talked about quite a bit. Some of you might even be on edibles right now. So who knows? Edible Garden shares are trading higher after the company reported year-over-year increase in Q2 EPS results. So this is popping here. We've actually retraced some of that move, but we are curling up here. So I wouldn't be shocked if this traded back up towards VWAP and maybe tested it. We'll see if we take it out here. EDBL, what do you got here? 13.
3.15 million shares in the float. They just had earnings. They had a big EPS beat, as what I'm gathering from this. But again, they have almost no cash. So they are sitting on $388,000 in cash, and they lose almost $4 million a quarter. So another company that needs to raise cash. With the size of their float, I don't think they're going to need to reverse split. I think they're okay as long as they can hold above $1. Same thing with Serve earlier. They have a larger float, so they might need to do something about that. But again, I don't know if that's what the plan is going to be for these guys, other than they just need to get money somehow, some way. And usually making offerings is the way that they go about that.
Okay, here you go. We'll see if this near-term bottom here at about 135 holds. Maybe we'll get a trade here. Good morning, Judge. It's great to see you. Keep throwing that positivity out into the world. We really appreciate that. Let's do it. Okay, next here is going to be ticker FLUT, Flutter Entertainment. This is the parent company of things like FanDuel. Flutter Entertainment shares trading higher after the company reported year-over-year increase in Q2 financial results, popping up right towards this 212 area. Looks like where it stopped in the after hours. We're holding here at about 208. If you take a look at the daily chart, you can see right where we traded up to. Does look like we're trying to maybe break out from this. This daily chart actually looks pretty decent here on Flutter. FanDuel's the one that I use, although I've really kind of taken a break here in the summer. We'll see what happens when football starts. It is right around the corner. Anyway, Flutter trading up here. Do you have anything on Flutter? Do you trade any of these, or does the group trade any of these? I'd be curious to know.
Well, so this is the first, good company that we're looking at today compared to these other movers that need cash. The thing about this one is that they have a larger float as well. So they have 175 million shares in the float. So this is going to be one of those stocks that might just kind of move very slowly throughout the day. The moves are likely going to be in the pre-market and after hours where it's easier to push this around. So that's kind of the thought I have with this one. It's great news. The price targets, they're still, $15, $20 away from it, but that float, that's too much supply. It's going to be hard to push it up higher, in my opinion.
Yep. Okay. There you go, Flutter. Next one here is going to be Peloton, P-T-O-N. This is Peloton. Boy, 13. We've been talking about Peloton in the happy hour since it started. Can you think of maybe a more, I don't want to say divisive. That's probably the wrong word. But boy, oh boy, this really seemed like a kind of a cult stock here. People loved it. People absolutely hated it, talking about it being over 100. Talking about it going to zero. Here we are at $3. Peloton popping here in the pre-market. 335-ish looks to be the high. Don't see really any type of fresh news here on Peloton. You got anything on this one? It's okay if you don't.
It's like the short squeeze. This has
Yeah.
22% of the short of the float shorted, and they have 7.21 days to cover. So that's the metrics you want to see for a short squeeze. That's what I think is happening here with this one. This company has had problems ever since. I think it was when it caused the death of that child with one of its treadmills. I believe that was when things really started to get bad for this company. But then they just had management problems, cash problems, and it just kept declining. They kept having to cut production. I remember at one point that was a big headwind for that. So this company just hasn't really been doing well, and hence the reason for the high short interest.
Now, Pablo here actually bringing up something interesting. Piton might be a potential activist trade. We're actually seeing some of those activist trades work out really well, a la Starbucks from yesterday. All right. That was out. The Starbucks, their CMG CEO went to Starbucks, but remember, Elliott was in there a week earlier. So we have seen some of those activist trades. Be interesting to see if anything happens here on Piton, but I have no line on that. Sorry, 13, go ahead.
And this was also like a COVID play too. So when that then ended, so did the run for this one. Now, I'm not saying that people don't still use treadmills and their workout programs and whatnot, but it seems like this was doing a whole lot better because people were at home, and now that the workforce has returned and gone out, these aren't getting as much attention anymore. I'm kind of with Jay. This could eventually be a zero, but I think before that happens, they'll probably get bought out.
Jay also going on to say both lose way too much money for an activist. So interesting stuff there. Okay. The one other one that I wanted to mention here, sorry, I was just trying to clear that off. The one other one I wanted to mention here, ticker K, Kellanova. This is one we've been kind of looking at recently. They got bought out here. Mars acquiring for $83.50. So the difference in price here is just the chance that deal doesn't go through. I don't really think there's any trades here on K, but that's what's going on. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some stocks that you folks want to take a look at, and you know exactly which stock we are going to start with. Stay focused out here. Amanda, you guys are all trading this with us. We are going to start with Chipotle, having another good morning here in the pre-market. Tell you what, yesterday this was an awesome trade. It took a swing here on that pullback. Whoever was buying that 48 level, I can't remember who that was, but whoever was buying that 48 level, just really, really awesome. That was the dead bottom here. I know Anne Marie gave a nice trade on this one as well. I actually didn't take hers. I just took calls, so I have just regular calls on this. We are in the money now, trading up here. It's making a nice little move here in the pre-market. Really good stuff on Chipotle. Would love to see this trade up. I will probably start booking profits on that. I think I can get 100% gain on those contracts. So I'm going to try and hold out for that. We'll see what happens when this actually opens. Yeah.
And for me with Chipotle, that was a great call with 48. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to see that 200 get recaptured. We have not done that yet. So that's the whole thing for me, is that if we cannot get a recapture of that 200, then it could be a big problem for this company.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see if we get that. That should be on deck here today. A recapture of that would be extremely bullish. Jay Harris, it's great to see you here this morning. You want to take a look at Eli Lilly. Let's do it. Eli Lilly sure looks like it's going to go and test some of those highs up here in the pre-market. This has been a really, really good bounce, and it has been great since we've recaptured the 50-day moving average there. Eli Lilly, not quite at overbought territory yet, so I actually wouldn't be surprised if this kind of drifted higher here today. I have no position in this, but this has actually made some pretty decent trading activity. So I think maybe one of the things we'll do here is we'll watch this 9.15 versus 9.10. We'll watch that $5 range and see if we get a trade setup coming out of breaking either side of that range and giving us a back test. So we will see on that. All right, we've got just about 2 minutes left here. Let's see, what else do you folks want to take a look at here? Starbucks, you guys are still trading that one. Tony, looks like 48 to 52. That's all you were doing. The nice little short-term trade there on Chipotle. Awesome. Let's see, Starbucks. Did you want to take a look at Starbucks? We're still kind of moving up there, aren't we? Let's see here. So Starbucks holding higher. We'll see if this ends up coming back in after yesterday's huge move. Look, being up 24.5%, this thing was up only almost 25%. Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4 moving averages we kind of gapped through. I'd be curious to see if we test any of those or if we move back here on Starbucks at all. What do you think on Starbucks?
Well, I think one thing it needs to do is hold the 500-day SMA. It closed above that, and now it's still trading above it in pre-market. But we're about to open too in 50 seconds.
Let's do it.
So the thing about Starbucks is that with this big move, my first thought is, it's going to come back in. But I just want to be sure that it's not going to continue to run on momentum, because this is a large momentous move. This is, I think, the largest volume move we've ever had in this company. The shares traded yesterday, 157 million. I don't think there's been a higher trading day with that one. So just want to get some confirmation that that this is going to come back in before we start talking about trading this back and forth.
Okay. Let's go ahead and open this baby up. We will see what we got going. We're going to watch Chipotle right out of the gate. Chipotle actually trading down from that little run that it was doing in the pre-market. Here, let me actually get Trade the Pool up here. And before we start, as a reminder, the stream is sponsored by Trade the Pool. So if you need help getting above that day trading threshold, or you just need some more dry powder to knock out your trading strategy, Trade the Pool is the place to go. Go ahead and check them out. We are open, folks. Let's see what we got here with today's session.
Pushing.
Yeah.
Serve. Kind of trading underneath the VWAP, and not fluttering at all.
Not fluttering at all. Take that. Take that.
It's kind of all right. And seeing what's going to happen here.
DGLY continuing to trade up here. Looks like it's didn't quite get to that VWAP there, but we'll see if we end up testing it here again.
Serve is going now, starting to push up.
On Serve.
Trying to
this a whole bunch, haven't we?
Trying to push through that 1425. There it is. I'm sorry, 29.
Right through that pre-market high. Good stuff there on Serve early.
Looking for 15, I believe. Digital Ally down to the 200 EMA on the 5-minute and through it.
GNLN, is that going again, Crow?
Oh, geez, is it really?
Oh, well, it's starting to curl up. We'll see here.
Had a pop to 1077 out of the gate there. Palantir also had a pop out of the gate, went up to 3088. Let's see if that can continue. What else?
There. Take a look at Flutter.
Baru, not looking good for Aunt Baru.
That is actually, you know what? I actually don't think I have Buru. No, don't have Buru here in Trade the Pool, so I'm not going to be able to pull up that chart. Hopefully, it won't show us a big move here. By the way, market continuing to push higher here, so that SQQQ position still moving down here.
Flutter trying to push through the after hours high of 11.93.
See if
now
we get
it's
it here.
Through and going higher.
Sounds good.
Broke that one. This is the one where I
all right. Hang on,
much movement because it's the float so large. Serve now turning around after hitting 1440.
I'm sorry, really quickly, you guys that are spamming the chat, like that's not what we do here. So just so you know, you can find another channel if that's what you want to do, but that's not what we do here. So let's temper that down. All right, what else do we have here? Brad, you're taking a look at GNPX.
Digital Ally turning around after touching the 200 EMA on the 5. Back above VWAP.
Digital Ally, we'll see if that ends up moving here.
No trades for me today. These, I'm kind of wanting to wait. Yeah, Digital Ally pushing up through 150. Next stop is going to probably be 175. Got some consolidation in the pre-market to work through it at this level here.
Watch the 160 level here on DGLY if it can get through that.
EDBL, SERV, and Baru, all with big red.
Okay. Those are all of those stocks that needed cash that you were saying, huh?
Digital Ally needs cash as well.
Yeah.
But they did go lower out of the gate. Now they're trading back up. Yeah, I'm going to kind of just sit on my hands for a short tick here.
I think that's really smart here. SPY pulling back here, Q's pulling back here. We'll see which way this actually sets the move up here. Just kind of hold it out there. Serve, by the way, off that pullback. We'll see if it recaptures the VWAP here on Serve.
Good morning, Hertz or Heats. I'm sorry. Good morning, Heats.
Now Apple. So Shanicola mentioning Apple. So some of the other news that we got yesterday was regarding that Google and the Department of Defense or the Department of Justice, excuse me, wanting to split it up for antitrust concerns. Well, so there is actually an angle there for Apple that we should probably pay attention to. Apple receives $20 billion a year from Google to make Google like the default search engine within the Apple phone on whatever browser it is. And I would imagine that if the antitrust case breaks Google up really at all, that $20 billion a year payment's just going to disappear for Apple. So I noticed that it's trading down here. I'm not sure if that's what it's trading down on, given that news is kind of fresh, but that's one of the things that's going on here to keep in mind if we continue to get news out about the Google antitrust case.
Flutter Entertainment now just on it just pushed through 215. Now it's at 215.19. This one, it's moving up really nicely for the size of the float, but it's because it's really spready. Like we're looking at, over $1 spreads in this thing right now. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, it's not one of the easier. Did anyone have this for earnings? That would have been the real good trade. Is anyone doing the gambling trade here? Also, DraftKings up in sympathy here with Flutter. Looks like this stopped at its 20-day moving average. It'd be interesting if we can get above that. That was 34.08. I have that value at. That's what's going on here with DKNG.
Digital Ally hit that 175 and came back in a little bit. It's trying to, now it's coming in a lot. Trying to hold VWAP right now. If we get through 175, then 190 is going to be the next upside target. And then after that, 210.
A lot of stuff pulling back here. So some of that, I guess maybe euphoria in the pre-market here, really kind of turning around here. Even CMG coming off those highs.
Palantir trying to push.
Digital Ally going to halt? Up? Not quite. It did actually turn around here. So this is one of the things that you'll see with this stock. This thing sold off right out of the open, ripped to the upside. 175-year high. There's still some size there at that 175 spot. We'll see if that gets eaten here. Robert, this ended up not halting. Sorry, 13. Get in there.
I think he's right. It hasn't halted yet, but it might halt if we do get a breakout of this 175 level and get a really big move up to that 210 that I was talking about. That could trigger a halt. That I'm pretty sure that. I'm not sure that's what he was referring to, but I could see that happening. We'll have to wait and see if that's what we get, though. Could just absolutely crater right here, but it's holding VWAP, so that's good. Serve actually bouncing now off of near the 65 EMA on the 5 minutes, still beneath VWAP. EDBL above VWAP, trying to recover and push through some of these short-term time frame EMAs. Trying to get up to 145 on this one and go through it.
There we go. I've got that. There's 145 right now. I've got 147 as the VWAP. I see some size at 146 and 150. We'll see if those get popped. Learn with Moses saying, do we look at stocks like SOXL? Yeah, absolutely. Those ETFs, I'm trading one of them right now. I'm trading SQQQ, which is the inverse QQQ ETF. We'll see if we roll over here. You are mentioning here that SOXL has been moved 20% over the last 5 trading days. Remember, this is one of those 3X levered products, so you're going to get that type of movement. Going to be really important to time these if these are the trading vehicles that you're going to use. By the way, just kind of looking at one of my other screens here, Tesla really selling off bottom end of the range here. It looks like it's holding 205 so far. See if we go lower here on Tesla. Eli Lilly, we talked about this one. Oh, all right. So here we go. So we did break out of the bottom. Looks like we're testing VWAP. Wonder if we move lower here on Eli Lilly. Looks like we kind of back tested that VWAP area there at 908 and moving lower. We'll see.
Looks like after this, the first 5 minutes of selling, looks like we're trying to get recovery in some of these like Serve and Baru.
Let's take a look here at Serve. Serve trying to regain its VWAP there. We'll see if we end up getting that.
And Digital Ally trying to hold above VWAP. This might just be cooling off before the next push up, but can't be too certain with these junky names.
Starbucks losing it here. We talked a little bit about this being a potential pairs trade with Chipotle long, Starbucks short. We'll see if we end up getting that here. Peloton, that was another one that we were taking a look at here this morning. That's on the scanner. Peloton right back to that VWAP. We'll see if we get it.
All right, so Digital Ally trying to push up through 175. See if we'll get that.
Chris, you had said earlier you liked Hood. What was the outlook here on Hood? I'm actually taking a look at the unusual option activity calendar. We're seeing some put buys come into this up move here on Hood. This was a really, really nice bounce off that 200-day. Let's see if it stops here at that 20-day. I've got that at about 2017. What happened to your PC, Robert? And I hate that. I absolutely hate tech issues right around the open. That is the absolute worst. Absolute worst. And this printed new all-time highs in the after hours yesterday. Really kind of came back in. We'll see if this goes. Let's see. This did go green. So we went red-green here. Let's see if we can test the top end of that range. Got that up there at about 1380.14. See if we can get all the way up there. Chris saying, like Hood, exposure to crypto and the cheap options trading. It looks like you think there's going to be more of that going on. I kind of think the crypto angle is an interesting one there, honestly. We've talked a little bit about maybe sport or athletes being tradable assets in the future. I feel like Hood would be a really good home for that type of stuff too. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. Edible at the VWAP. We'll see if we can push above VWAP here on Edible. Lumen, are we moving again here today? Indeed, we are. Lumen, this actually might curl back up. We'll see if we get that.
Edible's big level it needs to get over is that 156, 157 area. There's some consolidation right there. It got rejected. Get through that. It could go to 175.
Digital Ally, watch this 170 level. Looks like 175, your intraday high. There's some size around that 175 spot.
Yeah, it's holding VWAP, so it looks like Digital Ally wants to get above 175.
And the volume looks pretty decent here too.
Not bad, yeah. Absolutely.
Volume looks pretty decent here. Dustin Omega saying crypto fantasy football through Hood incoming. Well, let me ask you a hypothetical question. If that did happen, would you be excited about that? Not necessarily you, 13, but I could see people wanting to gamble some of their crypto on fantasy football. That's the merging of two worlds there. I could see that happening.
I mean, if they have like cash leagues where they, use crypto to trade players or to bet on players and make, side bets with it. Crypto could have a really, important space in NFL and sports gambling. I could see that if they can get the platform right, that'd be great. DGLY tried to push through 175, got rejected. Now testing VWAP again. But I think there are going to be some really good uses for crypto when it comes to gambling and trying to have like a part of the player be represented by crypto so that you can trade the player's value. So their crypto will, of course, have more value if the player is healthy and getting used a lot on the field or making great plays. But if he's injured, then of course the crypto goes down. I could see that totally happening.
Yeah, I could too. That makes a lot of sense to me. Lynn and Randy, you guys on the Starbucks short train here? Starbucks moving to the lows here off of that. Looks like a lot of stuff is actually pulling back now that we kind of look across the market here. Tesla at the lows. Apple really couldn't take out that 222 high. If we take a look at the SPY here, we can actually see we're kind of testing a little bit lower here. We'll see if we do the same thing on the Qs. SQQQ starting to curl back up. So we wanted to see if we got one of these moves back down here today after the open. Starting.
Lion Atlas, let me tell you, I've in the largest cash position right now that I've been in a long time. I'm sitting on a lot of cash and not in a lot of names. Just I'm really taking your comment seriously. Absolutely. This market is totally choppy. Great to have cash on the side, or being in cash. Being in cash is a great position to be in a choppy market like this. You're still getting, a percentage in your account if you got that set up with your broker. So yeah, and here we go. Digital Ally now over 175.
It did. It snapped the 175 as you were talking there. Brad's all over it here. Digital Ally moving higher here. I'm surprised. I mean, look, I've seen this one really kind of fake out. Nice to see it moving here. Volume really telling the story. There's a lot of buying interest right now. As long as that's the case, higher we go, it seems.
Baru, back from the dead.
I can't bring up Buru on here.
BURU.
It's not part of the tradable pool here.
Gotcha. Yeah, this thing went down to 182. It looks like, or 183, and kind of consolidated for another 5 minutes, and then it just is taking off right now. Looking for looks like first we need to get past 250. Then there's going to be an after-hours high yesterday of 256. Once we get past that, could go into the threes.
I was just saying 250 looks to be a pretty key level here.
Oh, it's really moving. That's a nice big candlestick that we like to see.
ALBT looks like this is one of you penny players is on this. Someone mentioned this earlier. I think JJ could turn around and break $1 later in the day like it did on June 3rd. So you're looking for a move back towards the highs here, ticker ALBT. They did have a PR here this morning. Shares are trading higher after the company announced its laboratory services has begun manufacturing GWiz external male catheter. Yikes, that doesn't sound great. But we'll see if we can recapture VWAP here. I'm going to pass on these penny plays, to be honest with you. Hang on a second.
All right. Let's see what Edible's doing. That's still trying to recapture VWAP. Serve, not really serving it up. Flutter beneath VWAP as well. Digital Ally, after breaking out of that 175, came back in still above VWAP, so there's still a good chance that we could push up here again. Looking for 190 after we break and hold over 175, and then continue with that, 210. All right. Yeah, Crow mentioning GNLN. I saw that was
sorry about that.
No worries. Slowly pushing up. Oh, and then it knifed through VWAP.
Oh, we've seen those knives before, haven't we?
Oh, we have. I mean, this one actually gave us a broadsword. That was just, oh God, that was so cool. We were talking about it, like, this is where they're going to start raising cash. And then to 2150, they brought in the broadsword.
All right, market kind of turning over here.
Well, let's see.
SPY still hunting for lower.
Well, so far that trend line is providing some decent resistance. Also, we're in the consolidation channel, so tough to get through the supply.
Mercury Systems, did these guys do earnings? I think, yeah. Trading higher to come report a better expected Q4 earnings results. Possible breakout spot here on ticker MRCY. Not one that I've ever traded before. Chart looks decent, though.
Robert, are you talking about just the market in general, or is there a specific stock you're talking about here? Because, I don't know if you were in the happy hour with us yesterday, but if the yen carry trade is back on like we were thinking it could be, with the gamble that the Fed's not going to cut and Bank of Japan's not going to raise, you're going to see some of that money getting borrowed out of Japan get put into this U.S. market. That's why we had a day like yesterday. So if you're asking about the market in general, I think it's the yen carry trade being back on, at least temporarily now.
That just seems like a bad situation, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really does. That's no good.
It's in an aspect, it's a risk on.
Someone was mentioning VRT earlier here. Jay Rice trimmed a little at 78 from 65. This was a good move, especially off that 200-day. I think, Gregory, you were on VRT earlier as well, so looking pretty good here.
I remember this one. What was going on with this?
Which one? VRT?
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Vertiv Holdings, wasn't this the, here, hang on a sec. This is the, brings together hardware, software, analytics, and ongoing services to assure its customers vital applications run continuously. This had a data center angle, I believe.
Yeah, I was going to say, this was a state-focused report. Remember, this was in his report?
Yep.
Okay.
There was.
Awesome. Oh, absolutely.
There was.
And JP Morgan said that? Great.
Possible break of 80 here on the daily for VRT as well. It's a nice move off that 200 day.
Yeah, and now we're over the 20-day SMA on VRT. So that's encouraging as well. Now it's got to get past the 50. Holding above the 200 has been great though. Look at after it had the 3 closes above. Then the next day, which was yesterday, had that push up to the 20-day.
Look, there's a reason why we look at that 200-day so often.
Mm-hmm.
It's really come into play quite a bit here. INTA appearing on my scanner. What's going on with this one? By the way, that market sell-off taking a pause here, but not going back up. SQQQ actually trading back up here.
Buru 250.
Oh, you guys are on Buru still? That's a fun ticker to say. I wish that was in the pool here. I'll bring it up though, nonetheless. There you go on Buru. So we're above those pre-market highs here. The after-hours highs at 260. Looks like that's on deck here. I'll actually bring this up in a different window so I can take a look at the level 2 with you folks. Right through 260. Just ate that spot easily. 265, your day high now. From the last run that this made here, let's take a look at a different chart here. Let's take a look at a 15-minute chart. This area right up here, 490. This is going to be the next really big spot if we can get up there. I think you probably run into some resistance here at 3 and 4 on those round numbers as well.
Starting to see in a lot of these names that we're trading that the breakouts that should happen, not all of them, but the breakouts that should happen aren't materializing. I think Buru is like the only one that has been really working so far today.
Yeah,
and that one just got up to 275 and came back in.
Remember, this is one of the reasons why Tuna has been so adamant about buying weakness and not trying to buy those breakouts. Yeah,
so this is, I'm looking across all the different ones we talked about today. Look at these upper shadows that they're putting in. Parts where they should be breaking out, they're not, and that to me shows that we need to just kind of like cool off, wait a little bit, make sure we're getting some really solid setups. Don't buy the tops. That's great advice. Yeah, don't be buying these tops, especially today.
Definitely not. Crow on GNLN still.
All right, Anthony Baker. Let's see if I can find something for you. I got you.
You looking for Tesla here? Next bottom on Tesla.
Was it Tesla? Oh, I'm sorry.
I think so. Right?
Yeah,
Tesla. TSLA. Yep.
I was looking at a different ticker.
Nice registering there, Amanda. 8-day position on Netflix, 70 points. That's how it's done. Nice trade there. Tesla just kind of eyeballing this 190.
It's
185. Let me know.
Well, I have Tesla, trading at 203 at the moment.
I'm sorry. I was asking for the next bottom.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So first of all, we need to see if this 200-day SMA is going to hold up. Right now, it's testing that and it's testing it as support. Also, if you look back at the beginning of the month, like in August, where it was trading underneath that, every time we tried to break above it, it was rejected 3 times. That happened. Traded in this range between 194 and 200 before we broke out above 200 and the 200-day SMA in the same day. And now we're starting to lose it. So if we start going down, what I'm going to be looking for is whether or not the 200 price handle is going to hold up. And if that doesn't, I'd be looking at 194. So I hope that helps you out there.
Buru, that is really good stuff there. Buru continuing to move towards the highs here. Looks like Digital Ally really kind of knifed and pulled back here. Digital Ally threw that VWAP to the downside as well. Not looking great here.
Well, Buru keeps going. 315 would be the next upside target I have here. If it can get through the 3 handle, that's where it could spike up to. So we'll see. That's been the best one so far.
Sure has. And it's been easily one of the best movers here. Serve back in, lost its VWAP, which we kind of expected. Reddit back into a 50 handle, although that's up off some of the lows. Okay. Almost 10 o'clock here. It is Wednesday. It is one of our favorite segments of the week. It is time to bring on the one and only Tim Melvin. Tim, how you doing today, boss?
Well, guys, it's Wednesday. I get to spend a few minutes with you. So how can I possibly be having a bad day?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I like to tell people anytime that you wake up and you're above ground, it is impossible to have a bad day, and happiness is a choice. So great to hear that, Tim. Would love to hear what you're looking at and what you got going on.
Well, you know, today is a very special day, and this is a special day that only comes 4 times a year. And if you understand how special today is kind of like Christmas for investors, and could be for traders too, if you handle the information I'm going to give you correctly. It's something I've debated with folks for a long time. And every time I explain it to guys who trade for a living, eventually their eyes click in and they go, holy shit, you've got something here. Excuse the expression, ladies and gentlemen. But okay, today's 13F day. All right. Now, if you don't know what 13Fs are, every 3 months, 45 days after the end of the quarter, every money manager, hedge fund, family office, wannabe big shot, whatever it is that has over $100 million in assets and provides investment services to the public must file a form with the SEC. And it shows everything that they bought and sold in the last quarter. Now, this is incredibly valuable information because once you get these and you compare it to the prior month, you know what all the smart money is buying and selling. Right? Now, back when I started, I'm old. We used to have to actually order these things by mail from the SEC. They'd show up 4 or 5 days later. Today, as soon as it's filed, it's instantaneously available to you. Today, between 4 and 5 o'clock, you're going to see a ton of headlines all over financial media. And it's going to be about 13Fs. What did Warren Buffett buy? What did Carl buy? What did Bill Ackman do? What did Kathy Woods buy? Who's buying NVIDIA? Who's selling NVIDIA? Yep. To which I have the same answer. Who cares?
I saw that one coming a mile away. Let's go.
If you're not a 90-some-year-old billionaire with $1.5 billion in cash, who is primarily interested in making an acquisition of a whole company, why do you care what Warren Buffett did? Right? Carl Eichmann's been managing his own money, and I promise you, you can't eat volatility the way Carl eats volatility. You absolutely couldn't handle it. Most of what everybody's looking at are the guys who got rich last time around. Now, if you take the time and its effort and its work and its cost to figure out who's good and who's not, who's still in the accumulation phase, who's trying to put up the big numbers like Warren and Carl did 20 years ago, who's there. Now, when we find these guys, it begins to get interesting because in today's world, there's lots of specialists, right? So if I'm going to sit down and I want to trade biotech stocks, why would I not do anything that RA Capital is not buying? Right? RA Capital has been investing in biotech stocks for a very long time, and they have this like stunning track record. And by the way, one of the very few biotech investors that has a stunning track record. So even if I want to, even if I just want to trade them, these have been vetted by the best research department for biotech on Wall Street that's been proven in real time with real money. Excuse the dogs, the pool guys here. They love the fella.
That's okay. We love dogs here at the show.
So I do most of the time at the moment. I'm not that big a fan. But and it's the same thing in energy, right? When I want to talk about energy, I go right to what Sir Capital's buying, SIR, Sir Capital, and I want to look at York Capital Management. They're the best energy investors on the planet. They proved it in real time with real money. Why am I paying any attention to anything they passed on? Doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, and banks, and look, we've used this for banks for decades, okay? I mean, literal decades. There's a handful of people out there that are bank stock activists, right? And it's just there's a small handful. They buy positions in community banks and begin to agitate for change, for buybacks, for higher dividends, mostly for the sale of the bank. So if I want to take advantage of this massive consolidation trend in banks, and I do, because we can back all this up with data if we have to, and the lawyers want to see it, but you can actually beat the hell out of the market with a beta of about half the market by investing in small community banks that have an activist shareholder. So if my goal in life is to earn a higher rate of return on my capital, and I want to do it with a high sleep at night factor, why wouldn't I just buy a whole bunch of small banks that pay great dividends and have activist shareholders? There's no reason.
Seems like a winning combination. That's what we've been doing here.
Right. So I would go right to FJ Capital. I'd go to M3F Partners, and I would go to Stillwell Value. And I would check those every quarter, because that's your ideas that have been vetted. Okay.
And Tim, we got a comment earlier about this data kind of being delayed. It's just kind of, it's a little bit slower, but that doesn't matter for this trading plan because of the time horizon that we have on these, right? You don't care that it's delayed?
Well, look, if it's delayed and it's gone up, then I've lost interest, right? Because it's no longer undervalued. It meets my criteria. If it's delayed and it's the same and gone down, I don't really care. I'm in, right? Because the people that I follow anyway, they're thinking longer term, right? So my concern, and I'm going to go back to the biotech because it's the best example, right? Most people that buy biotech stocks, and this is not meant as any denigration or put down at all, they don't really know the biochemistry, the physiology, the medical part of biotech, right? They know the stories, they know the rumors. Yeah. But look, if you don't have like several degrees, you don't know what's going on here. These guys do. So I've got a list now of stocks that have been vetted by a research department who understands biochemistry, who's been actively involved, knows all the players, and has a much better idea than you or I ever will.
Yeah.
If these drugs have any shot at getting through the FDA.
Yeah.
You and I can hear rumors and discussions. We don't know. And the handful of people that can actually evaluate it are probably too busy doing brain surgery to have the time to day trade this stuff. Okay. So what you're doing is building a list of stocks, an inventory as a trader, if you will, of stocks that have been vetted on a fundamental basis. So you're buying stuff where the fundamentals justify upside. Now, if you get your price and volume breakouts, you got two things working for you, not just one.
Yeah, this is something that I've kind of struggled with biotechs too, because sometimes I'll read a PR, I'll be like, yeah, that sounds really great, but the reality is I have no idea the facts behind it. So I need help like this. This is really good. What do you got for us?
Well, let's take, okay, biotech is RA Capital. I'm going to go to banks because that's really sort of my strength. Let me go back here. By the way, two more and three, actually. These have to be top of list, okay?
Okay.
Every quarter, you must check Appaloosa.
That's Tepper's fund?
This is David Tepper.
Yeah.
He's still shooting the lights out, guys, and it's all his own money now. Right? So you want to look at this, and it's trading inventory. And you're going to find trends in what Tepper is doing. So if he's bailing on tech, I'm bailing on tech. I'm out. The other that you really, Whale Rock Capital is probably the best tech investor out there. They run a very concentrated portfolio, but it gets interesting when you start to see what else they're buying, the new stuff. Because their strategy is simple. If you look at their biggest holdings, it's NVIDIA, it's Microsoft, it's Amazon. But they bought it a long time ago, right? And they probably bought 4 or 5 other stocks at the same time they bought these. The other 4 or 5 kind of faded away or got taken over or went away. Something happened to them. They're gone. They dropped out of the screen. They own those long-term survivors. So you want to watch that particular filing for the new stocks, because only 1 out of 3 or 4 will be the 100 bagger, but you really only need 1 or 2 of those in your lifetime. So Whale Rock, and the other one on that is Valley Forge Capital. I check those every quarter.
Okay.
So
you got anything from those?
Whale Rock was buying Toast, T-O-S-T, the restaurant payment system. And they were also buying Micron Technology, the semiconductor company.
Interesting.
Okay. So that was pretty interesting. And then Another one that you really need to focus on every quarter. You want to pull this up. You're not going to have heard of any of the stuff these guys are buying. I promise, for the most part, except one this quarter that's really interesting. It caught my eye. Black Diamond Capital, in its day job, is a distressed credit, high yield, restructuring, distressed stock investor. However, their public stock portfolio has absolutely shot the lights out. Okay, we're talking 20% a year for a very long period of time. All right, so it caught my eye because, like, Clearwater Paper is one of their CLTR, I think that is one of their normal kind of stocks, and it's gotten blasted this quarter because they missed earnings. It's absolutely worth a look here. But
what was the ticker on that? I didn't get it. Clearwater
let me make
Paper,
sure
CLW.
CLW is Clearwater Paper, and you can see it got hit hard. But they bought a lot of Verizon. Now that's just such an unusual purchase for these guys that, I kind of perked up when I looked at that. And it's like, all right, look, we got a 6% dividend yield, and you've got this huge, high risk, distressed asset company putting, a chunk of change into this thing. Why are they doing that? So that's one that's, kind of got my attention. And if I'm a dividend investor, I'm now real interested in Verizon.
Okay.
But now let's come down to, let's look at some of the banks here. M3F Partners out of Salt Lake City, Utah. Okay, Salt Lake, I guess they like it for some reason. I don't know. But the two guys that started it a decade ago came up through Hovde, the Hovde Group, which is Steve Hovde and Eric Hovde's firm. And they're the best, some of the best in banks in the business. These guys know banks. They've, over the last 10 years, averaged about 18% a year, tons of takeovers. They don't always go activist, but they ain't afraid to go activist. And when I looked, I see that they're buying Brookline Bank Corp. BRKL, I believe, is the symbol on that one. Let me just check that. And
yep, you're correct. BRKL down here in a 9 handle.
Yeah, down in the 9 handle, it's 10 times earnings. You got a nice 5.6% dividend coming off the stock. Got a little bit of insider buying, high insider ownership. Deposits are increasing, assets are increasing, book value is going up. They're committed to the dividend. The dividend's easily covered by even very depressed earnings here. Capital levels are fine. Loan portfolio is in great shape. Just, smallish bank hanging out there in Boston. It's been around since 1997, which, by the way, puts it in the takeover zone, right? Anything founded in the last 30 years is in the takeover zone. Everything under, about 50 billion in assets is actually in the zone. However, the really old banks that have been around for 125 years, they're a little slower to get bought out. It's those ones in the last 30 years or so that have, management founded the bank 30 years ago. They've grown up. Now they're 65, they're 70. They own a lot of stock. They're wondering what they're going to do next. And by the way, community banks have this massive succession plan, because if you graduate for Harvard, what you did not say to yourself is, I want to go make 300 grand being the CEO of Brookline Bank Corp.
Definitely not.
And by the way, I get to wait 15 years to be that CEO. In the meantime, I'll start at a cool 70 grand. Right now, these guys are going to Goldman Sachs at 70 grand a month. Okay. So there is a succession problem that has always existed in the smaller community banks. So there's Brookline, big fan of the bank. Now they did something else.
So is really quickly. So is John Boston here. I'm shocked someone didn't buy Brookline yet. They're in the richest area of Boston.
Yeah, I'm really shocked that no one's bought Brookline yet as well.
Cool.
And there's been a lot of M&A activity in the Boston area in the last year. The biggest problem we've seen in the last 4 years, I've touched on this before. I'm actually going to pick sides this time. The Biden administration has been really hostile to banks. There's no other word for it. Their first attempt to appoint a nominee as the head of the OCC, the Office of the Currency, the comptroller who oversees banks, one of the three major agencies, was actually trained in the communist system and believed that all commercial banks should be eliminated with all of our checking accounts held directly at the Federal Reserve. Now, I'm not making that up. She wrote a paper about it.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
She was not friendly to banks. Michael Barr, the current vice chair of regulation at the Fed, is openly hostile to the banking industry. They have killed several mergers just because they could. They have looked to increase our mandatory capital levels for larger banks to the largest in the world, the highest in the world, giving big banks in the U.S. a significant disadvantage. They have a bunch of lawyers, activists, politicians on the regulatory boards, not bankers. It's been a real problem, and it's put a big drag on M&A. You're starting to see that open up because in 2023, even lawyers could see that, wait a minute, we're kind of screwing up here because healthy bank M&A is actually a necessary function. And, oh, wait, hey, it's actually good for consumers in the long run. In addition to being good and providing profit for bankers and investors, it kind of works for those in underserved communities really well as well. So that's one of the reasons you haven't seen a bank like Brookline get bought.
Okay.
And then the other thing that they've done, and I'm not going to give you these tickers because we do own a lot of them in Banking on Profits over on MarketFi. They're also really small. But there's been a lot of thrift conversions that were done over the last 4 or 5 years. Thrift conversions are this really neat transaction where a small mutual thrift, which is a form of thrift and mortgage agency that's been around for hundreds of years, they decide to go public. And they go public because they want to do more than just single-family mortgages. They want to get into commercial lending. They want to get into commercial real estate lending. Or, as is often the case, they want to sell the bank because they're small and it's very arduous to be a small bank today. It's hard to earn a rate of return with regulatory costs and technology costs and all the other expenses, the fixed costs, they go up every year. So if you can't gain scale, you can't make money. All right. So there's a lot of reasons why these guys are going public, but when they go public, I'm going to give you the easy math on a thrift conversion. The numbers don't always work out this way, but they're kind of close to it. I've got $100 million bank, right? It's owned by my depositors. All right. I'm going to take this thing public. So I'm going to sell 10 million shares at 10. So remember, I've got 100 million in assets when I do the IPO. Now I do the IPO. What do I have when the IPO concludes? I have $200 million in assets. I still have the same 10 million shares. My book value just went from 10 to 20 overnight.
Sounds pretty nice.
It is pretty nice. Now, back in and Peter Lynch, by the way, this was a big part of what he did at Magellan. He had a guy. His job was to go around the country and put money in mutual thrifts because there were hundreds more than there are now. Because depositors obviously get first shot at the IPO. So back then, they would literally trade from 10 almost up to 20 immediately. Today, they go from 10 to maybe 13, 14 on a $17, $18 book. And there is a change of control restriction for 3 years. It can't be taken over for 3 years. All right. But the lifespan total from IPO to sale of the bank is about 75% of them are gone in 5 years. So the smart money play, and they're doing it at M3F. You wait 2.5 years and you start buying these things. They're still under book. You just snap them up. My whole career and at Banking on Profits, buy a little bit at the IPO at 60, 70% of book of what it is. But as you get closer to that 3-year mark, you start to load up on this thing. Remember, now they've got lots of capital because they took in a ton of cash. After a year, they can start buying back stocks. We've seen William Penn. They're coming up on 3 years, WMPN. They bought back over a third of the bank already. So, I mean, just lots of good things happen with the mutual thrift conversions, and you can't day trade them because they're not very liquid and they're not super exciting. They'll never be on the news. You're not going to impress anybody around the water cooler talking about the shares of the thrift conversion that you bought. Nobody's going to care. You're going to care a lot because your average annual rate of return on these things is going to be enormous, and your sleep type factor is off the charts.
Okay.
Okay. So you're seeing a lot of that from M3F. Then the other one that I follow is PL Capital. They just bought Provident Financial Services. Now, PL Capital's been around.
What was
a
the
while.
ticker on what they bought?
Oh, BRKL was Brookline, and then PFS, Provident Financial, Jersey City-based bank, 5.6% yield, super strong loan book, lots of capital. But Richard Lashley and John Palmer have been doing this for a while, and you know, I've talked to bankers at conventions, and there's two people that will ruin a banker's day when their secretary comes in and says, "Hey, this guy's on the phone." One of them's Richard Lashley, because you know, they don't play around. If they decide to go activist, you have a problem, because they're like a pit bull. They're not going to stop. They're going to get your shareholders on their side. You might as well go ahead and list the bank for sale that day, because that's kind of how this is going to end.
Okay.
Then the other one, who is very similar to that, is going to be Joseph Stillwell. And if you're a banker, Joe Stillwell will ruin your entire day. The guy has no quit. He's a bulldog. We've made a lot of money following this guy over the years. And again, his banks tend to be smaller. I'm pulling the filing up from yesterday to see if I can give you one of these, because they are really small. Yeah, he bought IROQ, which is IF Bank Corp, out in the Midwest. Let me just get the exacts on this one. We've owned this one for a while, but he's now actively pushing for a sale of the bank. I want to say this is Watseka, Illinois. So it's in a metropolis, guys. You know,
I was going to say, I've never heard of Watseka.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't trade a lot. It's a smaller bank, has a 2.35% dividend. Insiders own a ton of stock. 35% of the bank's owned by insiders. But you know, if you look at the ROA and the return on equity at this bank, it needs to be sold. It's an underperforming bank. It's in an area where the deposits are very sticky. They have a great loan book. It needs to be sold. And Stillwell has, every time he files a 13D on a bank, as part of it, they list every bank that they've ever forced a sale of. And it's a rather impressive list over the last 10 years or so. So that's who we follow in the banks. You know, in energy, which is one of my favorite areas long-term right now. If you look at Sir Capital, they've, again, just absolutely shot the lights out. And they're buying Kinder Morgan, Phillips 66, Permian Resources. That's KMI, PSX, and PR are among their favorites.
Yep.
RA Capital, I'll let you look that one up at sec.gov and check it out for yourself as far as their biotechs. I don't know enough about biotech to have an intelligent conversation about it.
Okay, well, I mean, this is still pretty good. Do you have any others that you want to get out before we roll here?
Well, I mean, you know, look, Whale Rock and Valley Forge, you really need, you know, in Appaloosa, you need to be checking on those guys. Okay. Black Diamond, you need to check every quarter. The other one that, and I'm going to throw this one out real quick. They have not filed yet today. Their filings that have not come across. Mm-hmm. But you absolutely, if you want to really see what's going on in the economy, and you got to think this one through as you go through the filing, but read the filings of KKR, Blackstone, Apollo, Carlyle, and Leonard Green. Right? Private equity firms are the ultimate value investors. They add steroids in the form of leverage, okay? They own operating businesses. What they are buying and selling tells you an enormous amount about what's going on in the U.S. economy, the global economy to a degree. You know, and over the last few years, if you've just watched them move into energy, now they're moving into real estate in a very big way. If you just pay attention to those guys, and when you see two or three of them moving into an industry, you are interested in the industry. And I don't care if you're a trader or an investor, when you see a lot of that money coming in, something's about to happen. So I always read those as well. But, you know, and again, for technology, I'm looking at Whale Rock. I'm looking at Valley Forge. I'm looking at Appaloosa. We will generally check Tiger Global too. And as we know from a few years ago, you can make money with Tiger Global going up and down because they do both in rather dramatic fashion.
Yeah.
So, but in the banks, you know, the guys that I mentioned, and it doesn't matter what Warren Buffett bought. It doesn't matter what Kathy Wood did. All of that stuff in the headlines, forget about it. You want to find the people who are still hanging high returns and building their own net worth, because those are the guys that you can track onto and help build your own net worth. And again, yes, it works better for investors, but if you use this as your inventory sheet as a trader, you're probably going to make more money.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love the fact that you're kind of giving us some stuff to look at behind the scenes. That's the stuff that I think is the most valuable here, especially on this show. Plus some more bank picks here as usual. Tim, appreciate it as always. We're going to have you back next week. You got any preview for what we're going to do next week?
I mean, I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week. We'll see what happens. I mean, I started to talk about the CPI and the PPI this week, but there's no point. It's going to be analyzed and talked about and discussed all over the place. And I did see one interesting headline, and I'll just comment on it real quick.
Cool.
Bloomberg said, hey, the CPI was weak. That nails in a rate cut. I want to know who's smoking that stuff at Bloomberg this early in the day. Nothing. Look, if you read what the Fed governors themselves and the actual voting members of the committee, they ain't locked in by a long shot. And when you dissect the CPI report, just like yesterday's PPI report, big part of that is energy's low. Energy's bouncing, and it could bounce a lot higher by the September meeting because of political tensions in the Mideast. So, Iran shoots, oil goes up, the whole outlook for an interest rate cut changes.
So that's interesting, because we were actually talking this morning about how CPI pretty much shows that, yeah, the Fed can go ahead and cut if they want. You're saying, I wouldn't say that's what do you think, 13? You've been in on this one. You've been in on this discussion a lot.
Well, I mean, I've been on the side that I think the Fed's going to be late to the rate cuts,
as they always are.
And I think they should have already began that process. But now we have the yen carry trade apparently coming back on, because investors are thinking, well, I have time. And there are some investors that are thinking that there's going to be no rate cuts from the Fed, and there's not going to be any rate raises from the Bank of Japan. That creates a really risky situation if the yen carry trade's back on.
Well, here's the thing. Two of the economists that believe that are Torsten Slok at Apollo. He's been right all year. And then McVeigh over at KKR also is a little skeptical on rate cuts. Now, I think they're going to be late. The Fed usually goes till they break something. Yep. But if you go back, and Reuters ran a cool piece, you can look this up, of hawks and doves on the Federal Reserve Voting Committee. Guys, nobody is locked into a cut. There's still a couple still talking about a hike. So, and Powell has said they're on the table, but he's also taken, some cuts from a certain presidential candidate who said you should not do that. I don't usually agree with any presidential candidates, but I'm going to agree with this. A cut here is going to be seen as political.
Yeah.
That's something else that we've discussed. If
it's not absolutely 1,000% necessary, and I don't think it is yet. There are signs that the economy is slowing, but it's slowing. It's not yet falling off of that cliff. And I think, I think the certain presidential candidate in this case may actually have a point, and I think Powell is going to take that point to heart. So I don't, could they cut? Sure, absolutely. Is it locked in? No, It's not. And if you're betting it's locked in, you think you got 100% lock, you got a coin flip.
This is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. This has been one of the big discussions for a while. Tim, we are over time here. Can't thank you enough. We're going to see you next week. All right, boss?
All right, guys. See you next Wednesday. Thanks, guys.
Take care, Tim. Again, folks, sorry that we did run over there a little bit, but this kind of stuff is incredibly important and is really kind of driving the market here. While we were going on there, congrats to everyone who was trading GNLN here. Pro, I saw you've been on this all morning, dude. You just got that huge pop. Hopefully you sold into that move as the thing knifed right back down to VWAP. That's par for the course. That's what we've seen recently here on this. Nice job on this one moving. The other thing that I noticed, and I'm going to go to you folks next here, looks like the market's kind of coming back in, right? SQQQ finally catching a bid. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to hold this and not just kind of take a loss on it. Thought that this might inevitably turn around. Now we're starting to see that here. We'll see where we go. Again, let me know what else you folks are wanting to take a look at here.
Let's see.
Certain presidential candidate. Look, evidently people get rubbed the wrong way when you talk about things that they're going to do and all these other facts. So I appreciate Tim trying to play it that way, but we're going to report what's going on regardless. ALBT, this is looks like a penny stock for you penny players. ALT, that's going up there.
Looks like it wants $1. Peru, that when we were talking, that had I think the second before we were talking, but it popped up to 285, and then it came back in. Has not been able to recapture VWAP.
Yeah, that thing was a monster.
Looks like Faloona Entertainment's trying to turn around, still beneath VWAP though.
Let me bring that one up here real quick. Flutter, we'll see if that can actually recapture its VWAP there. You Clove spammers, you guys just do not give up. This one is moving up here today. We did see the insider buy on this one, but we've taken a look at this before. This thing, I mean,
it's up 12%. Or not 12%. It's up 12 cents, 10 or 12 cents. I don't see the appeal here, and it's going too slowly.
I don't either. Like I said, it's moving. If you want to trade it, go ahead here. But we don't do the whole spam stuff here. So that's like going to be the last warning there on all of the spam. Let's see what else is moving here. NU, it looks like, is moving back up. And you will see if we take out the pre-market highs from yesterday. Excuse me, the after-hour highs from yesterday. See what else do we have moving here? That GNLN, that. I don't think we've seen the last of this one here. I don't think we've seen the last of this.
It looks like it's setting up to push higher, and now that it has cash, that it raised cash, kind of takes that issue off the table a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that it couldn't raise more, but that makes it a cash raise a lot less likely. And I don't even know what the exact amount was. But
I didn't even notice till right now. Bitcoin actually lost the 60K handle here on the futures. I wonder how some of those Bitcoin plays are doing in here. Mara's at least coming back. BT. Was there anything going on with Bitcoin? I actually haven't checked the Twitter streets either. Was locked into that interview with Tim. Let's see. Don't really see anything on the Twitter streets. Let me know what you guys are thinking of here on Bitcoin. Okay. Sorry about that.
Look, nice to see that we got over that 60,000 yesterday. Ran up almost to the 62,000 handle. But what was the news today that's beating it down so much?
On which one?
On Bitcoin?
Yeah, I didn't find anything.
Okay.
I did not find anything. Let me know if you did. Jay Michael saying I've been scalping Mara short. That's actually been the best Bitcoin trading name, hasn't it?
I think.
Take care of yourself, Judge.
I think CLSK has been the better one. I mean, that's just one I prefer as well. But CLSK, Mara, Riot, and MSTR. Those are just going to be the big names right there.
Mara giving you the better move here today. Let's see what else we got going on here. We are going to be going to all access at 5 to 11, but we got plenty of time. VKTX getting traded. That one has definitely been popular. Jay, what do you think on VKTX? This has been one of your names here recently. I actually think we could take out 60 and move higher here pretty soon on this. All right, Gavin, this is not the right community for you. Good luck, bro.
All right.
Take care, Amanda. Hope you feel better.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you at happy hour.
INTL getting mentioned. No, I must have screwed that ticker up there. What was that one? Who said that? The INTL. INTL. This is SMIDA. Is this the right one? Main International ETF. Did we get the ticker right on that? Lion Atlas taking a look at TMF. So this is just one of those ETFs that we've been trading back and forth.
Treasury bull shares.
This one's on the Treasury, yeah.
Well, I don't know that I don't know that technicals are going to matter as much.
I don't think so. Tesla's still hunting for lows here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I really can't give a good opinion on TMF. I apologize for that.
All good. Stay focused. It's the internet. They come from everywhere. It's just an ongoing process to clean it out. That's all. Sorry about the disturbance here this morning.
INTC was the one who was looking at SMIDA. So
INTL.
No, but he's saying INTC. Sorry.
Oh.
It's like INTL, except it's got a hat on.
So, so I mean, with Intel here, I mean, what do we think in terms of a potential long side trade here? I feel like, given what we just saw yesterday with CEO changes, it seems like that's probably what's next on deck here for Intel, does it not?
I don't know what to expect with. I mean, they do need some changes in management. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it's consolidating down here, and it's not heading lower. So as long as it continues to consolidate, that looks like it could be trying to gear up for a turnaround. MACD is showing that it's trying to turn around. Just needs to recapture and hold above 21, I think. That looks like it would be a good spot because it's been trading up, trying to get there, has not been able to recapture 21 and close above it. I think that's going to be the big level to start with. Let's look and see let's see if we can get until it closes above 21 first, and then we can maybe have that discussion about filling the gap to the upside.
You know, one of the other things, this chart formation looks really, really similar to the Nike chart formation that we've been looking at recently when we're trying to determine whether or not the bottom is viable and all of that stuff. Here's what Nike ended up doing.
Yeah, so that's like what I'm talking about with the consolidation, and then it kind of moves up. So that's what I'm waiting for in Intel to see if we actually get that.
I think that's smart. I think that's a really good approach there. Smita, I know that we didn't necessarily talk about the company as much there, more or less the chart and where the price sits here. Let me know if what you think about that. Wally's saying, I'm going to have to go to urgent care to get stitches trying to catch all of these falling knives. You know, one of the things that you can do is always wait for it to confirm that bottom instead of just trying to catch that falling knife. Catching falling knives has not worked great for me either, by the way.
You got to dodge those falling knives like Roger Rabbit. Remember when the beginning of that movie?
Look at
all
Lily.
the knives are flying at him. Anyway.
Look at Lily. Who traded this today? So I think someone was on this earlier. Between the interview and flipping around here, didn't hit this, but man, oh man, Lily, as soon as it broke out of that range, this thing has been really, really strong. Congrats to anyone that traded Lily. I'm going to preemptively give some register rings and some one-ups out there. I know that there were several people on Lily. Really good stuff here today.
I wonder if we see some exiting from Lily after the XDiv. Usually there'll be some selling to get out of the positions after they've been on the record or the XDiv date, so they can get the dividend later. I've seen that happen sometimes. Not necessarily saying that's what's going to happen here. I think Lily's trying to push to 1,000, but just something to watch for.
Lily also a potential split candidate. 950 calls getting bought here today on Eli Lilly. Nice little move here, and against a market that actually came in from that opening print. So Eli Lilly showing you some relative strength there as well.
Oh, is XIII going again? I noticed that was having some nice moves yesterday after we ended the show. Okay, so after it opened this morning and then it just dropped out and then just traded up ever since. Now we're kind of back at the open right now. But this thing had some really good moves yesterday. Got up to almost 4. Let's see, 376 got to a high of. Nice.
This was a pretty good mover. Real quick.
Here we go. GNLN. Sorry.
GNLN. I'll bring that up here real quick before I flip over. See if we end up breaking through that high. on GNLN. Really quickly, Sid, you were asking here, check CMG options activity. So here's some of it for you. CMG, there's some of the big ones here. Remember, I've got a filter on it, filter on the size there, but all of these from today, all on the call side. All on the call side. One of these is a closing trade. Excuse me. Two of these here looks like closing trades, but more here. It looks like some more were getting bought for. Was this today's? No. Looks like some more getting bought for this week for that 53. So looking like they're still betting some upside here on Chipotle. Those were cheapies in there. All that unusual option activity on Chipotle, at least from here, seems to be on the call side.
Saw Palantir getting mentioned. What's going on with this? That's getting okay. That tried to double top intraday. It looks like
right back at 31, same level.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So GNL not able to break over that 1425 again. That's the level that I have here for GNL that needs to close over 1425. We close above that and consolidate above it like we did a couple of days ago. It could push up higher.
Stop me if you've heard this before on some of these knives back to the VWAP, getting it again here on GNLN. We've seen that a number of times here.
Mm-hmm.
Jay mentioning that the Qs are on the low of day. I asked you folks before we opened here if you thought that there was a possibility that after this print we kind of move to the lows. Looks like that's what we're getting here, at least so far. One thing as far as the SQQQ trade goes here, definitely should have added on this morning. Really kind of just dancing around on this. That's my own fault, but we'll still hold this here because I do think we inevitably test some of these levels here again. And Jay, sorry, one more thing here, 13. Jay, mentioning some of these names here, Google getting smoked. We already talked a little bit about the piece of news that's affecting Google here. As long as we continue to see more of this stuff getting smoked here, that's going to look really good for the position that we're holding. So got no problem kind of holding that there. Didn't necessarily want to make like a knee-jerk reaction to what we saw yesterday. I was definitely a little early on that trade, but that's okay.
Sid was asking a question about the sentiment on CMG, and is wondering if it's positive because their investors expecting a new CEO, might bring a fresh perspective. Well, first of all, CMG had a big move down on the CEO leaving, so I think that's one of the reasons why it's going back up is because that downside was overplayed. It was too much of a move down, so I think it's just a more of a rebound. But also, that CEO leaving, he came in at a time when Chipotle was already turning around. So it's starting to become apparent that he's not really the big reason for Chipotle's success, getting up to its all-time highs. So that's another thing that it's moving up on is that he wasn't really, they're not basically losing a whole lot by having him leave to go to the other company. Starbucks. So I think it's those two factors. It's probably some other things as well, but I think it has mostly to do with that. CMG is gonna be likely just fine. Don't know what the new CEO is gonna do or how they're going to manage it.
Yeah, the one thing, and stay focused, shout out to you. I shouted you out yesterday for mentioning this. The COO is stepping into the CEO role, and he's been there for, 7+ years? I think he came on right after the E. coli scare that Chipotle went through, so he's clearly well-suited for that position, it seems. So, yeah, I mean... To me, I see this going higher. I mean, the way I think about it is, am I going to eat less burritos from Chipotle because their CEO moved on to Starbucks?
No.
And the answer I keep coming up with there is no. So to me, it doesn't really seem like this is going to, we'll see after a couple of earnings reports. We'll see if, maybe things change here, but otherwise doing pretty good. Chipotle actually down here because we're just kind of even from where we were at yesterday. I know we're hanging on the green here, but those options down here on a little bit of decay. Awesome. Glad you like it. Yep. Give me one sec here, 13.
Sure. Let's cycle through some of these movers that we were looking at earlier. I heard you guys were saying Baru. I guess that had a nice pop up to VWAP, came back in. I'm gonna break out again of that 260 area. If we get that, and it's going to take, it could try to take out 285, which is the intraday high we have, and finally make that move up to 315. So that'll be something to watch for with Baru. Serve now under 13 and VWAP. So needs to get it back above VWAP, I'd say. That'd be the first step. Edible, not really looking great. It's trending down, getting some support from the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. If that doesn't hold, then it's kind of back to start with this one, I believe, back to the low dollar and teens and change. That's where it was when we got this move yesterday. What else here? Flutter Entertainment, kind of doing the thing that we were, looking for with, the movement. That float is really not easy to move this around. Had a great move in the morning, 215, got up to 215.19. Hasn't been up there since. Really hard to move around. This could continue to leak all day, as these larger float movers that we observe have done in the past. So that's what could happen with that. And Digital Ally, that is now no worries. That is now finding another support bottom here at the 200 EMA. Second time today after dropping out of the gate and then rallying. So we'll see if Digital Ally, the 200 EMA, sorry, the 200 EMA on the 5-minute. Let's see if that can continue to help hold this up. And what is everybody else looking at? Are we going to get
REBN?
We're going to get some more fireworks from GNLM, or is that done?
REBN, this was Tuna had mentioned this. This is halted to the upside here. I don't see any trade on this.
Take a look at REBN as well. Coffee. What's going on here? What's the news? Okay, so they have a license agreement with the Liaoning province in China. Okay, so we've seen what happened with Starbucks after they started getting into China, and now we have Reborn Coffee. So this news sounds great at first, but I don't know enough about the company or what their international segments look like. But I think if Starbucks is any indicator about wanting to get into a China when the majority of the world's trying to unwind, I think that might tell you what you can get out of REBN. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
I don't have any angle on this at all. And I'm sorry, man. I don't have any thoughts here on REBN.
Yeah, my only thought is just watch what Starbucks did, and I think that's a good kind of a.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember Luckin Coffee.
Oh, Luckin Coffee. Oh, my
I mean
God.
that was a disaster. Well, what's to say that this can't be the same thing?
Because that? I think Luckin Coffee was actually a Chinese coffee company, and they were completely cooking their books. Like it was massive financial fraud, and so that sent it right down to zero. You never want to even try to. There were people were trading, because I remember it went really down. I was like down to under $2, and then it started trading back up to, I want to say it was like $8. I was like, there are going to be bargain hunters that are going to buy it and try to trade the rebound, but that is that's just asking for trouble. You can get away with it, but that'd be too risky for me. Because at that point, that company's toast. And I don't think we've seen Luckin Coffee since then.
No, we have not. As a matter of fact, no, we have not. Victoria's Secret, this holding higher here, but really not doing anything. That was a CEO change, I believe. New CEO and reported strong Q2 financial results. Really hasn't moved since we opened here.
Okay, that's a great point, Easy Mike. But how about this? They got caught. So they were really screwing up. They weren't being good enough with their cooking of the books. They couldn't hide it well enough, apparently. But that's a good point. Like, of course, there's going to be companies that tweak things here and there, and I say that with quotes.
GNLN flagging right above the VWAP. Boy, it sure seems like a lot of things have calmed down here. Even that sell-off in the market really kind of stopped. It kind of just bounced back. It's not really recovering, but it really slowed down here.
Yeah, and we get retail sales and Walmart tomorrow morning. So let's see if that moves the needle at all.
Bob, summer break ends tomorrow. Gotta go back to work. I'm gonna miss my morning routine with you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to pop in once in a while. We're gonna miss you too, Bob. We're gonna be here. We're gonna be around. So even if you have to earbud it up,
yeah,
and kind of do it all discreetly, we won't tell anybody. I promise.
I feel you on that one because look, GNL is trying to push up to 14.25 again. I feel on that my kids just started school this week, so not getting to sleep in as much as I used to, but I'm still able to be here with you guys, fortunately.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
GNL either going to triple top or it's going to burst through this and go above 15. The volume just doesn't look great, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here.
It's starting to pick up off that VWAP.
Yeah.
Could go if the volume comes. Remember the knives on this one, though. We've seen it for several days here on this one.
This doesn't knife, it broadswords.
Right. I gotta start using that.
Oh my gosh, that I'm gonna write that down in my memoirs one day.
My memoirs. I'm sorry. Give me one.
No worries. All right, here we go with GNL, and this thing is pushing up through 14.25. Let's see if we can get this movement. That's the first 5-minute candle close over 14.25. Are we going to get going here? Let's find out. This would be a great move if we did. See who was Crow. What do you think? You're going to try this one again, Crow, or are you in it already? Or
which one? Sorry,
GNL, because he was trading this while we were talking with Tim Melvin, and here we go. It's really trying to push now. New highs of the day, and it's looking like it's going to come back in.
Nice job, Jane.
Nice, Jane.
Bring that register there, selling into that strength. You love to see that. You absolutely love
Jane having a much better week, I imagine.
Let's go, Jane. Pick it up.
Yeah,
pick it up.
Short oil. Okay. AVGO trying to break through VWAP. Okay, so they have earnings coming up. Let me see when. I remember they're one of the last of the Qs, the big top 10 holdings of the Qs to report. Here we are. September 5th. So we got less than a month before they report. That's going to be that'll be a day. So GNL and popped up to what is this? 1504. Came back in trying to decide what it's going to do about this 14.25 level here. If it acts as support and we start consolidating, there might be a push up to that 20 like we saw a couple days ago. No guarantee that happens, but it's just kind of repeating itself.
Good luck, Jane. Thanks for joining us here today. Sword or guillotine for GNLN.
That's awesome, Crow. Hey, you did awesome with that.
Yeah, you really did, Crow. Really good stuff there. Caca, baby. Let's go.
That'd be a great shirt one day. Just get Crow to sign off on it and just have a big old Crow made of money and it just says caca beneath it.
That actually would be pretty cool.
Baru
would be pretty cool.
Baru's trying to push over its VWAP again.
Chipotle losing its early strength here. This might be kind of moving down with the market here. Disappointing. Definitely disappointing performance here from Chipotle. Was hoping for some continuation, just not getting it. Not getting it.
Well, let's see what's going on with so that was CMG that you were talking about?
Yeah.
So still not getting up to the 200-day SMA. Still not able to get back over the 20-day SMA either. So that might be a little concerning. How is Starbucks doing in relation? Are they going down as well? Looks like they are. They are. This is a This is a loss of the 500-day SMA, and it is creating, for the moment, I don't know how the day is going to end, but for the moment, this is a inside candle. could end up being something completely different by the end of the day. So I'm not going to speculate on what.
And remember,
it is right now.
25% move one day, not surprising to see a little bit of a pullback. Reborn Coffee is open. Looks like it's moving lower here. Let's see what those highs we had there. 551 on those highs. We'll see if it can actually take that off.
On Reborn, it got to 5. It got that high.
Yeah, that's what my candle says here. 551, 550.
Okay, I was just looking at the Benzinga chart, and it's got.
No, sorry, 547.
530.
I'm estimating it based on the crosshair.
Okay.
Sorry about that, 13. I'll try to be better.
I'm only asking because I'm looking at a daily chart of it, and it just tested the 50-day SMA and turned around. Take care, Len Atlas. Oh yeah, GNL, and there it goes again. Went a little bit higher, pushed up further into the 15 handle. That's gonna be wild if this thing goes to 20. Absolutely wild.
Penny stock moving here. HTCR looks like this moved higher earlier today. Really, really low volume. HTCR. See if that gets rolling here. Riley, we took a look at that the other day here.
Oh,
Riley cannot get rolling here again. Riley just holding out on the lows. Market Sniper 12% better. I'm not sure what you're asking. My saying's always 2% better every day, if that's what you were asking for.
Oh, looking getting some talk here with CrowdStrike. That's been on a good recovery, hasn't it?
Here it is.
Yeah.
CrowdStrike. It actually looks like it's trying to take out its 20-day here.
Yep. That's exactly it. And if it does that and we can get a few closes over that, I would not be opposed to jumping in with the 300 crowd. So after let's say, okay, I'll tell you this. After we get that close, or a few closes above the 20-day SMA and it continues to hold, 280 would be my next target. If we can get that, because that's going to still be beneath the 200-day SMA. So if we can get 280 and still hold there, I'd like to see it try to test and get over that 200-day SMA, and that might end up taking us to 300. Be a great recovery. Just the only caveat here is that it's going to have to do that in relatively short order because we're getting the 50 to come bearing down on the 200, and if we get that technical cross, that death cross where it goes, the 50 goes over the 200, might see some more selling in that. So that's going to be what I'm looking at with CrowdStrike.
VIX continuing to trade down here yet again. I mean, this is a crazy move. This went up to 60. It was 60 to 17 in like 5 sessions. Just an unbelievable melting of that VIX.
This market is
it's broken.
It's a casino. It's a game.
Yep.
It's just like it's been talked about from one of our most esteemed gentlemen in the happy hour chat.
Yep.
GNLN. Wow.
Hughes coming back to the VWAP. We'll see if that can get above here. SPY doing the same thing, battling right there. I don't see anything decent.
Yeah, Sid,
to go after here anymore.
I was kind of back and forth on CrowdStrike, but more when I think about it and take into consideration what you're saying, it seems like this is really just a big outsized move down, really big a buying opportunity. And CrowdStrike isn't everything. They're so widely used, so it'd be hard to kind of move away from them to begin with. So yeah, I agree with that. And plus, it's a very thankless job, isn't it? I mean, it is. If you're an engineer, you can probably understand that. Like, you're probably getting a lot of people saying, "Hey, this is not working. What are we paying you for?" And then when it does work and everything's fine, they don't need you. Hey, it's working. What do we need you for? It's a very thankless job, software engineering. They probably got rid of the. Tell me, Sid, do you think there was some new middle management guy that came in and wanted to make a name for himself and was just like, let's push this out now, even though it violates, cardinal rules of releasing updates. Let's just push this out now. Let's get it going. Have a great weekend. And some of the other lower end guys that they work on, work under him, looking at each other like this jackass is going to, cause a problem here. Do you think that's kind of what went down? I think that's kind of what went down. Is somebody in middle management trying to make a name for themselves? They pushed out that update, backfired.
It seems like negligence to me, right? It seems like they didn't really kind of think everything through, no matter what the specifics are of it. It doesn't, I don't know how you make some of those mistakes, honestly.
Did I buy the dip on anything in the Qs after the 8% pullback, like you discussed a couple weeks ago? I believe I picked up some stuff for trades.
Yeah, I didn't pick up anything. Like I'm not looking for the Qs to go to new highs, if that's what you're asking.
One thing that I did last week is I took profit on some long-term Bank of America stock that I had that I've held since 2020. Didn't sell all of it, but I took a good chunk off the table, and I used that to actually kind of hold some cash and also to invest a little bit into one of those Tim Melvin bank stocks. So I did that with some of the cash too, just to increase my dividend, but didn't get too heavy in that. But the big thing for me was that I sold Bank of America to raise cash to prepare for the next downturn, so I can get to buy more things.
Okay, we're going to be going to All Access pretty soon here.
Looks like ALBT is trying to find some support here from the 65 EMA on the 5-minute. Have to see if that holds. Peru still wanting to push past that VWAP. It's been hammering that over the past 20, 30 minutes.
That was one of the better movers today. I'm sorry I couldn't bring that up and trade the pool here. Still sitting right at its VWAP.
Yes, that could be a possibility. And usually the test engineers are overworked and sometimes they sign off on code, which is, I can see that too. Hey,
what up, fellas? What is up, fellas? What is up, fellas? What's going on? What are we trading? What are we making money on? Oop, I just missed Slack.
Not a whole lot. It's really kind of things really kind of slowed down here.
Small green today for me. Yeah, small green today. Didn't trade a whole lot. Okay. It's just, this market is making me think twice. And when it does that, I trade very little.
I got
Q's ripping to the highs now, so we'll see here. I was looking for maybe a rollover. It looked like we were kind of getting that, but we'll see. Q's just crossed the VWAP. What do you got for us, Zunaid?
Well, I want to talk about two things. I'm going to start with Thursday, and then I'm going to come back to today.
Sweet.
So tomorrow we've got something really cool I'm excited about, and I'm hoping the chat will love what we're doing as well. Let me know what you guys think. Tomorrow we have our first inaugural, whatever. It's our first. Yeah, thank you. I wasn't born here. We have our first startup showcase spotlight, which is where we will have. Okay, here's a cool structure. Ready? It's 4 startup companies that'll have 10 minutes each to make their pitch. 2 minutes will be like an elevator pitch. 8 minutes will be a Q&A with 2 judges that are VCs that invest in startup companies and have made millions of dollars. After all the companies go, the judges will decide who gets $1,250 invested in their company. But wait, there's more. The chat will have a poll that'll happen where they will decide who gets an additional $1,250. So one startup company tomorrow can walk away with up to $2,500, or 2 startups could walk away with $1,250 each.
And the chat gets to help decide.
And the chat gets to help decide.
I love that idea. Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
Thank you. And so chat tomorrow, I'm going to need you to cancel whatever plans you got from 11 a.m. Eastern. Matter of fact, from 8 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern. You got to stay tuned to Benzinga.
Whoa.
I said 8 a.m.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying that they're not going to cancel plans to be here.
No.
We got stuff to do.
8 a.m. 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. I need you guys to stay locked in to Benzinga because I got to have your support for this. But that's tomorrow's. Today, we have Story Trading come back. Looks like a lot of folks enjoyed their insights and their trade ideas from the last time we did this last week with them. So you've got Ben and his team coming back here in just a couple of minutes to kind of provide some different insights on what's happening in the markets, what trades they've taken, on what different trades ideas they have for the rest of the week as well. I know Ben, we're waiting on him to come back, get his little coffee. He's about to sit down. But yeah, man, I'm excited. A lot of stuff happening.
Yeah.
So see, you're right though. Here's the thing. I'm glad you brought this up. Let's say even if it's 2,500, it's pennies for startups, right? You're right. But the reason we're doing this is so that if you, the viewer at home, wants to invest in them, you can with as little as 25, or I think it's $250 or $100 or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's kind of a cool concept, something we're trying out, seeing how the content goes. But I'm excited. Should be fun. But yeah, any final thoughts before we move over to story trading?
Let's see where this market finishes up. Was looking for maybe kind of a pullback here. It seems like it's kind of indeciding. We talked a lot about the market kind of feeling broken. Sure feels like that. So let's see where we finish up here today.
Should be a lot of fun. And someone in the chat mentioned, I think it was Robert, that, hey, they better get press as well. They absolutely will. Matter of fact, those are the companies that are going to be presenting tomorrow. So check them out and you can see everything that we've got going on. But all right, 13, any final thoughts from you, brother, before we hop?
Hey, this market's acting really weird. Let's not try to force trades today. I'm sitting on my hands until I see something that sets up, and that might be all day. So just take care of yourselves. I'll see you tomorrow. Whether
it's in trading or in politics, weird seems to be the day. That seems to be the word of the month. Yep, you said it, not me. I'm
you the one that brought. Oh my lord!
He said weird.
All right.
This market's acting strange.
Hey, I appreciate both of you.
But take care.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. All right, Ben, give me a thumbs up. I'll go ahead and bring you on, friend. You got the thumbs up. What's going on, brother? How you been?
What's up? How are you?
I am good. My phone is somewhere with the alarm going off because I set an alarm to make sure I got here at 10:55 to intro you guys. So As soon as we get done here, I'm going to go turn that alarm off. But tell me your friends that are in the back. I'll bring them on, and then we'll get rocking and rolling.
I don't know if they're here yet. We got Rhett.
They're here. Yep.
Rhett is here, and we have the Godfather.
Boom.
There you are, guys. Awesome. How's everyone doing?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to put up your charts here. The show is yours. I'll be in the back. You've got my number in case you boys do something crazy.
Awesome.
See ya.
Sounds good. See you later. All right. So what do we got cooking here today? Every morning at 9 a.m., we do a pre-market show. First, we look at the macro situation. Obviously, we had CPI today, so we did a review of those, and then we dive into our top 5 picks. So our top 5 picks today were Coors, C-O-R-Z. You can see it's outperforming, doing pretty well. That's a Godfather pick. We'll get to that discussion in just a second with the Godfather. Dell was one of our top 5 picks. Wow, look at this stock just freaking explode. I've been bullish AI stocks this week since Monday morning, specifically Dell and MU. Let me see how MU is doing. Let's see. Yeah, wow, look at that. MU hit the target. Look at that. So specifically Dell and MU were the ones that are most bullish about this week. Let's just quickly look at the other AI stocks. NVIDIA is, look at all of these hitting the moving averages above. So we had a good call out this week, a good call since Monday morning on these AI stocks, and Dell really outperforming, made it one of our top 5. Wow. Rhett, I know you made some money on Dell earlier today, but man, you know, when we have like a big cap tech in our top 5 or any top 5 position, sometimes a smart thing to do is just hold it throughout the day instead of trying to micromanage it. What are your thoughts on Dell today?
Oh, yeah, man. I mean, it was a great call out, Ben, this morning in the morning show. And I mean, I banked on it. I made 30% returns pretty fast. So I can't complain there. And I mean, this thing is just skyrocketing right now.
Yeah, it could have been much more. This is one of my core positions in my long-term account. I tend not to trade big caps personally because my ideology is just hold on to the big solid companies in a long-term account. Just that's it, you know, just hold them. So Dell and MU, those are my top 2 AI stocks to hold, but tremendous trading opportunities. If you listen to our pre-market prep every morning at 9 a.m., you really could have made a killing if you're into trading these stocks. And the reason I picked Dell, you know, just a recap of what we do here at Story Trading. We don't start with a chart. We start with a catalyst, okay? We start with the catalyst. We interpret the impact of catalyst on sentiment and fundamentals, and then we look at the technical. So we had Dell in our bucket as a stock with good fundamentals already, and then we're looking at, you know, potential catalysts to start turning this around. And they got some upgrades earlier this week, separating themselves from some other AI companies. I know there's some other news. Not to be honest with you, it wasn't huge news. It wasn't huge news that was turning it around. But fundamentally, I think Dell is one of the cheapest AI stocks, and MU, I think they're the 2 cheapest in terms of the forward PE ratio. So when we saw the really, really oversold levels, all right, there was a little trigger. Like Dell had a nice upgrade yesterday. I think another one this morning. So Dell is getting some upgrades ahead of earnings, which didn't happen yet, I don't think. Yeah, earnings are August 29th. All right, so you're seeing this reversion to the mean up here. So top 5 stock today, bucking the market trend. But our number 1 pick of the day was CORZ, the Godfather, S Mantle. Why don't you chime in here? This is one of your picks that you've been pounding on the table. Every time there's a dip, you're like, buy, buy, buy. This morning, we kind of stole it from you, and we made it our number 1 pick of the day on the show. Tell us why you like it here and why you thought it would do well. I don't know if you thought it would do well today, but I took, we took your research and we turned it around and made it the number 1 pick.
Yeah, look, the stock was down 10% yesterday. We did have some weakness in Bitcoin contributing to that, but primarily it was this announcement of a convert. And retail, as soon as they hear a convert or any kind of issue, they think dilution. The reality is these guys will probably pay this off before it ever converts. They priced it with an $11 conversion feature. The stock has to get to 130% of that before they can actually convert. There's an amazing amount of cash flow in terms of the HPC contracts between now and 2027, which is when that early conversion kicks in. This note is out to 2029. So look, this is essentially 3% cash advance on all of this future HPC high performance compute revenue. So the story here is simple. You want to play Bitcoin, you're bullish on Bitcoin. These guys are still an extremely efficient and one of the largest Bitcoin miners, but they're getting stable long-term cash flows, billions of dollars worth, converting inefficient megawatts to high performance compute, for which there is a tremendous amount of demand, and these guys are market leaders. I won't even get into the weeds of the deals that they were able to cut with respect to retaining the benefits of all the capex that the customers are spending on those facilities. But look, the traditional data centers, the Digital Realties of the world, DLR and EQIX, they traded around 20 times EV/EBITDA. These guys are trading at 5 times EV/EBITDA if we just look at 2025 numbers. So
let me back up before you go too deep in the woods with fundamentals. So just yesterday you mentioned the stock was down big. So stock was down big because there was this offering announcement, and the offering was how much, for 400 million or 450? What was it for?
Well, they upsized it to over 400, but it was initially announced at 300.
Okay, so over 400.
An allotment option to take it up another 50.
Got it. So you get the usual typical reaction from everyone. Oh my God, dilution, right? This thing dives. And then, it's priced out. Just if you can get to the mechanics a little bit, this is convertible debt. And I know there's something out there. I'm not an expert on it. I think it's called convertible arbitrage, where people who hold that convertible debt, they'll short the stock. So you were looking very closely, waiting for the pricing. So you got the 3%, which saves them a lot of interest on refinancing the current debt they have. But also that conversion price of 11 was pretty meaningful. Can you kind of walk the audience through the mechanics of this and why you expected the stock to rebound with the pricing that they got?
Well, look, there's some games that get played, and it's hard to say how much was really at play, because 50 million shares of Core traded yesterday, which is, I think, the highest volume since it's been public. But look, you're not going to be shorting something at 850 to hedge a coupon at our conversion price at 11, or obviously higher than that, because it's got to be 130% of that to be convertible. So guys and this was a private deal. They went to a couple of institutions and got this done. But what games get played? Well, obviously the lower the price is, the lower the coupon will be. And we saw Mara price theirs at around a 30% premium to the prevailing market price at the time. And surprise, surprise, $11 over 150 or over 850 is about 30% as well. So it could be some games being played there. Certainly, those institutions got the help of the retail guys that fled in fears of dilution. But really, it's not much more than that. Hedging comes into play when that becomes in the money.
Interesting. Okay, good. So we saw that pricing, and I guess you were excited about that. You saw it was in our pre-market show. We named it our top pick somewhere around 9:15. Look at that. Yeah, it took off during our show from like 870, went all the way up there to 911. I put a target out there this morning that potentially we could see the 50 and the 20 DMAs today, 955 to 968. But I think you have a little bit of a headwind here with Bitcoin down 2.5%. What are your thoughts on how are you trading this? What are your price objectives here on cores right now at $8.94?
Well, look, I think that they're going to use the excess. So not only, you made a good point, not only are they refinancing 12.5% debt with 3% debt, which is obvious massive cost savings on interest on a yearly basis, but they end up getting an additional 200 million or so cash to play with. They could redeem warrants. They could, and I think it was alluded to by Adam Sullivan this morning at the Canaccord conference, that they will probably put this to work to buy more cheap megawatts, new facilities, new sites that they can further contract out for HPC or use accretively to Bitcoin mine. So this is a proxy on Bitcoin, but it's also a proxy on AI, and you get both of them extremely cheap. Whenever I can buy.
So how are you executing on this here at this price, $8.94? Are you a buyer? What's your execution strategy on this?
I bought yesterday in size. I trimmed pretty much every position I had across the board to buy this thing every time it dipped below 850. I think fundamental value of cores is with a 2 handle on it, upwards of $20. When will we see that? I think sometime in the next 12 months. So look, it's been a pig of a trader, to be honest with you. The opportunity here has been buying it in the low 9s and selling it every time it reached 10. And this aberration yesterday caused by this deal announcement gave us a really nice buying opportunity in the 850 and sub 850 levels. I'm going to keep doing what I was doing, which was buying it around 9, selling it around 10 until the market suggests otherwise. I do expect further deals here that will ultimately catalyze this through 10.
Do you think the fundamentals of this deal can get this to re-rate up to close to 10 again in this market, in this down market, for example, today? Are you expecting a move to 10 in the next day or two?
Well, the problem here is it's still tied to Bitcoin. So, tell me where Bitcoin's going, and I'll tell you where the sentiment on cores will be. There's still a large retail contingent in this stock, and it does trade on Bitcoin sentiment. So, that's a tough call, which is why I think it's a trader for now. I have a core position because I do believe fundamental value is double where we are plus. But look, it's been a great. Just keep doing what works, and that's what's been working with this name. So I don't see any reason to change that. And I was just thrilled with the opportunity to add under 850 yesterday.
And Bitcoin every day doesn't disappoint, continues to act like together with QQQ, right? That's
the thing that's guaranteed with Bitcoin is volatility. So
but everyone's waiting. At least the thesis is Bitcoin's supposed to be a currency hedge, a market hedge, an Armageddon hedge, an alternative currency. We haven't seen that play out yet. So for right now, market's down, Bitcoin's down. Okay, sorry for the my voice here. All right, so that is Cores and Dell. Look, if you guys have any questions, we're gonna talk about Graal, HEGO, Chewy, touch on PBI a little bit, maybe Hood, Palantir, and then TSSI. All right, that's on our agenda.
Hey, Ben.
So what's that?
Hey Ben, can we squeeze in a little conversation on SVIX today as well?
That's shorting the VIX. Okay.
Yeah.
You got 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah, go ahead. Real quick.
Okay. Can you pull up the chart that encompasses last week, Monday? Maybe something that goes back like a year. Okay. So look, so this is shorting the VIX. We saw VIX spike to 65, on the unwind of the yen carry trade. Look at this. We're filling this gap here. 31 will fill the gap. But if you go back, this vehicle has been around only for 2 years. It's up 500% trough to peak. Here's what we know about the VIX, and here's what we know about these.
Wow, look at that.
These ETFs, right? So, and conversely, if you pull up VXX, you'll see, it just keeps going down. It's a world-class short. And why is this? It's because they have to roll the contracts. I won't get deep into the weeds, but they have to roll the contracts every month. And VIX is always in contango. And so in general, you're paying about 5% more each time. So you're losing value. SVIX is the opposite of that. So look, investing is hard. You hear me say this time and time again. If you can invest where there's a tailwind, you're getting it structurally in this product. Not only that, yes, you get black swan events, you get these big spikes in VIX, but like the market doesn't even need to go up for this thing to continue to go up. It just needs to be stable, because over time you're going to gain 5% traditionally as they roll the contracts in this thing. So even if you look at a time frame that's sort of 4 to 6 months prior to last Monday, you'll see this thing is trading in a range of 35 to, got up to 50. So look, I could see another easy 50% move in SVIX here, just if we get some stability. And what this means is, again, this is a trading vehicle. If we see big spike down days,
it looks like a good long-term investment too.
Yeah, look, again, it's kind of like a cores thing for me. You hold a core position and you trade around it. Obviously, buying this thing at the dip, but at 18, you've almost doubled your money. But I could see another 50% move here again, without the market needing to go up, just with things stabilizing a little bit.
All right, awesome, great call. I never contemplated shorting the VIX. That's great. I love it. Okay, I now see the comments. I haven't seen them before. Nice, Robert Baumgartner agree 100% on MU. He says, "Yep, MU and Dell, my top picks." Okay, let's move on to the rest of our picks today. If I have time, I'll touch on TLT. All right, let's get back to our intraday charts here. So Coors, Dell, top 5 picks, killing it in a blood red market. Now, there are 2 so far I got wrong here for today. One is Gral, G-R-A-L. Last night they had earnings here, cutting 30% of the workforce, which extends their runway from 2026 to 2028. This is a cancer screening detection company. Their top line revenue growing pretty strongly. I thought the market would react positively to cutting 30% of their staff, which is part of their non-core business. I don't know. Do you follow this story? I think you do, The Godfather.
Sorry, which one are we talking about? Gral. Yeah. So look, it's great when companies with huge burn rates cut cost. There's obviously a catalyst there, but for me, I'd rather not be in a situation where you're shrinking to grow. This is really.
But I think they're shrinking in the non-core area, right?
But my issue with the story is, look, the market is absolutely massive. There's a great deal of risk and regulation around their technology. There are guys that know the story much better than I do in our community. So, there's
we interviewed Chris Tuttle from Tuttle Capital.
IPO Candy.
IPO Candy. So we have an interview somewhere on that if you follow us over at
so I would defer to him to the fundamentals, because there really is a strong fundamental case. For me, it's 2 years out, really.
So far I got this one wrong today. Okay. I'm not sure I want to sell it here. I might hold till the end of the day, see if we get a little bit of recovery. I almost feel like it's something like, you also didn't like the PBI pick, I don't think, but PBI last week had this catalyst on Friday, and it was up, but it disappointed from the opening price. It was a solid green candle instead of an open green candle. And then look what happened the 2 days after that. I don't know. I kind of view this news as similar. I think the PBI news is better because they're already, very profitable. But I hesitate to take a loss on Gral here, thinking of holding it, another night and maybe getting a better exit tomorrow. So Gral so far not working. Let's move on to another pick of the day. We had is HE. I'm surprised at this one, and another one that I don't think I'm going to get shaken out. I'm going to hold some overnight here for a better exit. Hawaiian Electric, if you guys been following us, we called the bottom, like literally at like $7.80, and we rode it all the way to about 16 over a couple weeks. That was incredible. Now recently here, I think there's a huge opportunity on this gap down. All this started when they reported earnings and issued basically saying, hey, they're liable for $1.7 billion to settle the Maui lawsuit. That was pretty much known, but, now it's in the headlines, and everyone sees this big EPS miss, and they put a going concern in there, which really isn't going to be an issue. They have plenty of assets, or will be able to get the assets they need to pay this off over time. Last night, judge in Maui approved the settlement to go to the next stage. So I think there's a buying opportunity here. Obviously, we got it wrong. I think you were in this trade with me also since this gap down. It had a nice move yesterday, but another example on here that I think I'm going to be willing to hold on to my latest tranche for a better exit.
Yeah, look, here's a classic example. I'm a fundamental guy, so I'm always going to look to, is there some fundamental support here? And at this $13 level, I really think you're looking at an asymmetric opportunity. I think all of the bad news is in. There are going to be catalytic events when they start turning their attention to paying this 1.7 billion. And the other thing that's important is that the faster they pay it, the bigger the discount they get as well. So in addition to the tax savings, which I think has been bandied around to be about 300 million, there are further incentives to see them, right now, to see them pay it down faster. Right now, I think they have to start mid 2025, and it's payments over 4 years. Look, they've got a lot of levers to pull here. They've got a lot of assets outside of core electricity assets, including the bank, which could be worth $7 to $8. I've heard. I haven't independently verified that, but I'm too surprised. I added some here at 13 this morning. This thing is going to grind higher. Plus, you've got, it was around a 20%. It's now down to around 14.5% short interest. But I think that those guys will move on because the juice on the short side is pretty much out of this trade. A going concern is a technical declaration, and I don't think it's reflective of the business.
I agree with you. I'm in on that. All right. Our other top five, our fifth pick of the day was Geo. Look at Geo outperforming at the high of the day. This is beautiful. I took a position in Geo yesterday, actually some call options yesterday, just privately without telling you guys because it's a little bit speculative. And I got lucky with an insider buy. So let me just show you this here. In our community, we put out these 4-pillar pick trade ideas. So Geo, this is how we do it. Catalyst, sentiment, fundamentals, and technical. So Catalyst, insider buy, executive chairman buys 50,000 shares for $3 million. That was released last night. Sentiment, the sentiment has been low, dropped on Trump dropping the polls. I'll explain that in the chart in just a second. Forward PE of 13, very good. And technicals, we'll go over that in just a second. So, by the way, Rhett, always feel free to look at this, outperforming in a blood red day. In a way, it's a pretty bad market unless you're in the right stock. So Geo at the high of the day, we gave a target this morning, a swing target. That little trade card gave you a swing play up to there at the 20 DMA 14.19, called out a couple levels between there. In my day trading account, I took, because the market was turning, I just took a quick profit in the morning, but I still have these call options I picked up yesterday for a swing. So another great pick. We had 3 great picks out of 5 this morning. It was Coors, Dell, and Geo, just killing it. Grawl and HE challenged, but not ready to move out on that. Rhett, you got any comments here on Geo or any of these other top 5 picks from this morning?
Just on Dell, Dell came back to bounce off this level right here of 103.61 that I have, so that's doing good. TLT, I bought more.
TLT, I do want to talk about TLT in just a second, but just want to wrap up the discussion on the top 5 from this morning's show. We got 3 out of 5 correct with Geo at the high of day right now. We'll get to. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I get you on this list, Rhett. Other one, unofficial pick. I've been kind of, in a way, pounding the table on Chewy the last couple of days. And Chewy, in fact, let me just show you guys here. So Chewy, let's go to post gains. There we go. 100% gain on Chewy call options. I'm now completely out of that. Could go much higher. I was just been commenting the last few days that, look, we like the underlying fundamentals since the earnings. It was a great earnings report. We like some of the other sentiments and catalysts boiling, with the roaring kitty involved. And then the chart, I've been telling everyone the last couple days, looks poised to explode. I said, especially if we have light CPI, this thing's going to rocket to 26, 27 as the next target. So this is what I've been telling people for a couple days. The CPI didn't really come in light. It came in line, but it went up anyway. With the market kind of challenge, I decided to take profits on that. So Chewy, that's another victory for today. So that's the story with that. All right, let me go down and check some other things. I think Hood. So Hood is in our model portfolio. I got a big position. This morning I suggested it could be a buy. Again, in my day trading account, just went in and out quickly. I don't know who. Does anyone know? Is Hood, is it today? Is it after the close they're reporting July numbers? Anyone know? No one knows? That, if
question.
It is.
No,
yeah. So anyway, Hood has been, Hood's been pretty good. Oversold, getting lots of upgrades. I mean, to me, the play is obvious here. 1929 to the 20 DMA at 1994. If they are reporting, if there is a catalyst today or whatever, and it's probably going to hit it anyway, regardless of what those numbers are, like the algos when the PR hits or whatever, you'll probably be able to get an exit at those two levels today, if indeed there is that being reported today. I'm not 100% sure about that. But anyway, I'm in a long-term position on this. I know the Godfather, you also like this, and I think you're in a long-term position on that as well.
Yes, I see fair value in the $25 range.
Awesome. All right. So just want to bring up TSSI earnings after the close today. Chart's looking good. This is an OTC stock. It's not liquid in after hours or anything. Do we look in chat? Someone's saying, Rhett, can you monitor the chat, the comments here in the studio, and just bring it to my attention if someone has a question or something?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm kind of sorry. I don't look at chat, so Rhett's going to have to do that. Sorry, Jay. In any case, TSSI rumored to be, so this is a pick we stole from Money Mark, who were on a small cap show weekly with Wolf Financial Spaces. Actually, there's a little hiatus in the show. The next one is going to be, I think, August 20th, since Wolf is traveling on vacation and stuff. But in any case, he gave us TSSI on that Wolf show, telling us he thinks that they're seeing a huge windfall in business because they, from Dell. So like Dell's their main customer, and Dell and SMCI, they're building that Grok AI center for Elon Musk in, where is it? Tennessee, Virginia? I forgot where it is. I think Tennessee. So TSSI, his forecasting that because of this relationship with Dell that's exploding, they could, within a couple of quarters have an EPS run rate of $1. So you're talking about this thing trading at like 3 times forward earnings potentially. Now, I'm totally borrowing the fundamental story here from Money Mark, but I did verify parts of the story looking at their explosive increase in job hires. That is true. That is happening. So look, it's AI. It's a small company that maybe a lot of people don't know about yet. So I'm taking a risk holding this into earnings.
All right, Ben, we have a couple of questions. One of them is they're asking where the pre-market prep is at. And then the other question is Chewy, thoughts on Petco buyout.
Okay, pre-market prep is 9 a.m. every morning. It's part of our Discord. So there's a QR code up there, but it's storytrading.com/BZ show. Is that right? Storytrading, BZ for Benzinga. Yep. Storytrading.com/BZ. Let's just make sure the link's working. Yeah. Okay. So you can get over there. Are there any coupon codes to give them, Rhett?
Oh, yeah. So the coupon code that we have right now is the BZ Show 10 off.
BZ Show 10 off. You get a coupon code for the first month, I believe that is. Okay, so let's move on. Was the other question about Hood? I really don't know anything about.
It was about Chewy, the Petco.
Oh, Chewy. Buyout. Yeah, I don't know anything about a potential buyout. I just, I like the fundamentals. I like Warren Kitty's involvement, and I like the technicals. So that's my knowledge about that. If there's something we should know, let me know. Now, Palantir, we added to our model portfolio. What an outperformance by Palantir. We were a little bit late to the party, but I think it's turned the corner. This has been, I also, believe it or not, the Godfather, I also rely on fundamentals a lot, even though I'm more of a trader. I love my catalyst. I love my sentiment, but I also rely on fundamentals. So I've been kind of avoiding Palantir for a while because it's like it was, the most expensive AI stock in a way. And I think like MU is probably the cheapest AI stock. but it's turned a corner. I think it's got this critical mass of growth right now that now you can say the premium is justified. Okay. And I think that $30 is kind of the new, a key inflection point. So finally, I feel comfortable holding this quote unquote overvalued name in Palantir. Godfather, I think you might feel similar about that.
Yeah, look, I have had my reservations about the valuation as well, but expensive stocks are expensive generally for a reason, especially if they stay consistently so. The thesis here is pretty simple. I think they've proven themselves over C3 AI and others that they are wearing the crown for AI software. Look, the largest buyer of AI software on the planet will be the US government. They are entwined with the US government from defense, all the way down. So obviously defense applications are huge, but, applications, administrative applications across the board are huge. They've made their software modular, so it's approachable for big companies to small companies. I just think the way they're executing, and clearly they have a product that that the market is behind. They have a revenue model that the market is behind. I think you just need to close your eyes and own this thing for the cycle.
Yep, I agree. I'm finally in on the premium. Speaking of premiums, right? Like, it's not all about fundamentals. Look at that premium now that we see that CMG had, Chipotle had, then now it's moving over to Starbucks. So market pricing is not only about the fundamentals. There's a lot of intangibles. Like great CEOs, one of those things. And some stocks will have permanent premiums and also permanent undervaluations because of qualitative factors like sentiment. Real quick, I just wanted to touch on TLT because some odd price action here today, which I haven't come up with a full explanation with. It could be a little bit concerning. I'm not sure, but usually TLT moves up with rate expectations. CPI, it was not really too light. And I know like a lot of people were expecting 50 basis point cuts. I don't think that's happening. I don't think the data's there for 50. How does TLT go up today, especially with IWM going down? I haven't made sense of it yet, except it looks like a flight to safety. You're looking at everything. I don't know. Is it a flight to safety? I haven't fully figured out TLT. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, the Godfather.
Yeah, look, it's clear to me that inflation is a nothing burger at this point. So the Fed is turning its attention to the other side of its mandate, which is the employment side. So, what we see out of jobless on Thursday is going to be a little more important. And, maybe what's happening in TLT is people looking forward to that. I'm not sure. But, in terms of IWM, obviously this 200 level is absolutely key. I think, from not just a big figure number, but market sentiment number. Look, the economy is slowing. Rates are going to fall. I go back to if I could choose a vehicle, and I have made the choice simply between SVIX and TLT. I'll take the one that's got the tailwind, structural tailwind.
Yeah, that's good. I was not familiar with SVIX before.
So for me,
TLT is my hedge.
Yeah. So exactly. So I'm using it for the same reason. So I'll continue to do that. But your premise on TLT is solid.
Okay, great. We have a long-term, sorry, Rhett, 1 second. We do have a long-term trade card open on TLT with a target of, where's the target real quick? I use the weekly chart on that. I think I have up to like a 103.60 to 110. 103.60 to 110 target on TLT as a swing trade. Rhett, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have another question. Any thoughts on BBAI while we're on AI?
Isn't that like some AI shitco, Big Bear AI or something? You know what? I don't know much about it. What's the market cap? 310 million. Why bother? I got to be honest with you. Like, if you want to play AI, go with Dell, go with MU, go with NVIDIA. And if you want to take a risk on some AI stock, go with TSSI. Sorry, I don't follow BBI very closely, but I just know it is an AI shitco. How did he put that up?
I have no idea. I hovered over it, and I guess it's pulled up now.
Okay, maybe someone else in the studio there, Benzinga, put it up.
I would like to think I have the magic powers to do so, yes.
I was confused at first. I was like, wow.
You just got to, it's like Matilda. You just got to point at it, and then it just happens. All right, appreciate you guys. Any final thoughts from either of you?
No, man, this was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed today. Final thoughts is join us. All right. Join us over there at storytrading.com/BZ show. You got any final thoughts?
ASTS for their corporate update.
And also just follow, Rhett, you don't have a Twitter for people, but the Godfather S Mantle, SMANTEL, give him a follow there. Zunaid, you got any reflections on our show today?
I mean, I think, whenever we talk about different types of strategy, I don't know if you guys mentioned NVIDIA because they're reporting at the end of August. If you want to take a look at it, you're welcome to, because that's not a company that's reporting like next week, but I think it's 28th. So if you have any trade ideas there, I would love to.
I mean, NVIDIA, we've had a target of 120 on this the last couple of days. It's, I give commentary on these big caps, but usually in terms of our trades, I'd like to focus on companies that have a specific catalyst. But as far as technicals and the money flow and the oversold RSI and the earnings coming up, I've had a target there, the 50 DMA 120.13. And with that RSI still kind of looking oversold, I wouldn't be surprised if it finds some sort of catalyst or reason to go up above it. But I just like Dell and MU better as an AI play. They're both big caps. They have lower forward PE ratios. So that's my take on it.
All right. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. And of course, you'll be back next Wednesday as well. And we'll see you fellas later.
Looking forward.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good one.